Hello, guys. Welcome to another stream. This is a special stream. I really didn't plan on doing shows, but this topic is a little close to home for me. Number one, I am a sexual abuse survivor. I did go through the whole, a lot of young girls suffer that fate, especially in the Black community, and then you have to sit at the table or barbecue or whatever else with the person who violated you. So I wanted to talk about this because Charlamagne the God again is being talked about in regards to what he did back in 2001. He had sex. He raped a 15-year-old because he gave her drugs and alcohol. When I actually did a little bit more research on the story because I didn't know. I watched a documentary that her and her family came out with. It's unfortunate. It's actually really sad. And you know what infuriated me even more is when I was looking on YouTube to prepare myself for the show, I found him laughing. Yeah, I gave a girl Spanish fly, and it's so funny. This is who we have as the face of the Black community. And I named this video Black Culture is Killing the Black Community because people like him that promote rape culture, that promote pedophilia, let's just call it what it is, because he was 22 years old when this incident happened. He knew she was 15. He met with her mother, her brother, her family, and assured them that she was okay. I call that grooming. At the party, he then peer pressured her into drinking. We need to stop. It's annoying when we support these so-called celebrities, these so-called Black leaders in the community, and they're dirty, bro. They're dirty. Number one, Black culture is not our own. It's not. It was given to us by entertainment, if we're just going to be frank about it. Nothing about Black culture is positive. And you are the consumer. You dictate the market. Why are we allowing poison to be sold to our communities? Why do we allow them to indoctrinate our children with having no morals, thinking it's okay to be a thought, sleep around, drug people? Because Charlamagne's not the only one. Bill Cosby, Charlamagne, Cardi B came out and said she openly drugged men and robbed them. How long are we going to let this be the face of the Black community? I don't understand. Help me help you understand. But I have some guests with me, and they're going to be discussing this as well. Shout out to Kwame Brown for even making this hot again. He is going after so many parts or pieces in the entertainment industry. It's crazy. The NBA is going nuts. Now radio's going nuts. Charlamagne doesn't know what to do. I can't wait until the Breakfast Club comes out and makes a statement about this because they're a part of the Me Too movement. I don't know if you guys know that. Angela Yee is a woman who supposedly advocates for other Black women, but in this case, she's mute. Right. Well, let me bring up my guest. Thank you for being here, Tim from Patriot Nation. This is awesome to have you guys here. And we also have Ralph the Mouth from IG. Thank y'all for being here. We have some more people coming in. So this conversation is going to get interesting. And yes, we will talk about Trump because I know that's what people know me for, my political commentary. We'll be talking about Trump and Mr. Biden. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here.
I'm doing good also. Thank you for inviting me also. Appreciate it.
I didn't even watch it. I have to watch him talking to Judge Joe Brown because I didn't see it. But I'm sure it's crazy.
Shout out to Kwame Brown, like you said earlier, man. He gets nothing but a shout out. Facts. That man been quiet for years, and now it's his turn.
Let's go. Well, I'm going to play a portion of when Kwame Brown. Yeah, did you? I think he knows about it.
Yes.
You know about Kwame Brown, what he's doing now, right?
Yes, I'm familiar with it. Yes.
I'm going to play a portion of the video where he aired Charlamagne out. And the only reason, I don't know, just to give people context as to why this is happening, the only reason that Kwame Brown even came out about Charlamagne is because Charlamagne made some very choice comments about his father and a brother that he didn't know existed, and he did it on live radio. This is another reason that I say Black culture is destroying the community because we talk shit about our own and make money off of it. You're making bank off of talking shit about another man's family when you don't know. You have no clue what's going on, why this happened. You just threw it out and you were reckless. And he then had to walk his statement back and apologize. So this is why Kwame Brown is going so hard at this dude, because Charlamagne talks about everybody. Everybody. And you don't even got a clean slate. Yo, you're a whole pedophile out here. Yes, I'm going to call him that. I'm not doing alleged. I read the police reports and I have them pulled up here. He's a pedophile.
Do you sleep in a coffin or something? Why would you let that man sit across from you, knowing what he did to that woman? That's a goddamn shame. Why would this company keep this son of a bitch on?
Okay.
Yes.
Why is he still on a national radio show? I thought it was Love All Women. Or am I absolutely right that it's pick-me's? And then if it's the motherfucker you go eat lunch with, or if it's the motherfucker you follow on Instagram that you like, because nobody like me, but the motherfucker you like, a punk bitch can brag and dominate a woman and then sit there and talk about it on a goddamn interview, further mentally fucking up this lady because he know his white daddy gonna protect him. But you black women, y'all have been complicit in this shit. This nigga got a lot of famous black women that's his friend. I'm gonna expect you women to unfollow this son of a bitch. Are y'all supporting his behavior? Huh? Are y'all backing this nigga's behavior? Why do Charlamagne the God get a pass for what he did? Because I want that pass too. How the fuck can I get a pass? I would never do something like that. But how the fuck can I be so disgusting and such a piece of shit? And then I could be at the front line acting like I'm somebody peaceful and nice and put together when all I do is disrespect black men, throw bunkie and penis at them, and act like a weirdo because the things that he does is not even polite.
That was some context to the situation. And also, I will be playing Charlamagne's actual audio where he talks about this not once, not twice, not 3 times, probably a total of like 2 years worth talking about this. And people just sit there and laugh at the fact that he drugged and had sex with a woman against her will. She said it. It is rape.
Now, when I listened to the interview that he had while he was laughing, he's laughing. The guy that was interviewing was actually calling it rape right in front of him. And he was laughing it off like, nah, it wasn't rape. Ha. He goes, I didn't allow my friends to jump in on her. He goes, all I did was let him see her naked. Like, and he just keeps pouring more gasoline into the fire. It's like, yo, bro, you don't sound good at all. Any way you're describing it right now, bro, it doesn't sound good at all. You know what I'm saying? And people may say 15, even if she was legal and he did that to her, that's dead wrong. You don't do it. That's not how you do it. That's just not. It's just dead wrong. I've been with women plenty of times. I've been with them. I've partied with women. Trust me. But we're on a same page level. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Compared to you, me slipping her something and she loses consciousness. He actually said she blacked out.
Yes.
He actually said it. He said he had sex with a girl that blacked out.
He did it to his wife too. Like, this is a pattern with this dude. He said it live on air, and his wife came on and confirmed the story. She did not want to have sex with him. They got drunk, and he took advantage. This is a pattern with this dude.
Oh.
I want to hear what you got to say on it, Tim. What do you think?
What do I think? There's a lot to think and a lot to say. Number one, I would have to say he's just a sick individual. You know, obviously he's a pedophile. In your opening statement, how you were saying, and the other broadcaster was saying how he's Kwame Brown was saying how he's profiting off the black culture. These people are profiting off the black culture. This brings me to what a great man. I think he's a great man. His name is Booker T. Washington. If everybody's not familiar with him, look him up. He's a great African American or black man. I call him black man because he was a black American. He said, I'm going to quote him. So if I misquote, don't hold me against it, but I'm just paraphrasing it. He actually said this in probably like 1908, 1910. There is a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want the patient to get well, because as long as the disease holds out, they have not only an easy means of making a living, but also an easy medium through which to make themselves prominent before the public. Booker T. Washington. And a quote from over, I'm just paraphrasing, from over 110, 20 years ago is so relevant today. And it puts Charlamagne, it classifies Charlamagne and other hustlers out there profiting off of the black culture by tearing down the black culture. So that's what I'm going to say about that. And hopefully it made sense. But that's that's what I'm going to say about that.
I mean, it does. That's actually one of my favorite quotes. I put that everywhere.
Okay.
And it's true. I personally, I know I speak out on this. I'm tired of people using the quote unquote black plight to push agendas, to push policy, to push this insane notion of, white supremacy running the country, white privilege. If we think about it, I'll give it 57 years, because that's exactly how long we've been voting Democrat, give or take 57 years. So for 57 years, we've been talking about race. For 57 years, we've been talking about white supremacy. For 57 years, white privilege has existed. So we've known for 57 years. Mm-hmm. And in 57 years, the problem can't be fixed. Wouldn't that then imply that, hey, there might not actually be a race problem here? Maybe it's the fact that black culture is pushed to black people, and then they then adapt those quote unquote cultures that aren't even synonymous and singular to black people. It's just not. How long are we going to talk about racism? Why don't we talk about the fact that Charlamagne the God openly talks about drugging women? Why is that not a huge topic? We talked about R. Kelly nonstop. Well, he talked about R. Kelly nonstop.
Let me just piggyback off that for a second. One man, one opinion. I look at it like this. When it comes to this, how do I want to word it right? Let me get back. I'll make sure I word this right.
Yeah. It's
you said 57, 60 years, basically like what, 1964, 63, yeah. Really when it started. And it's just give me a minute. Let me just I want to think it out. I want to, I don't want to be
okay. Go ahead.
First of all, let me just say I appear to be a white man. I'm only half white. I'm Native American Indian. My mother's 100% Native American, and I'm also married to a black woman. So, but people perceive me as a white man. So I'll take that image with the white privilege and everything else, and so on and so on. So I just want to present my argument.
Take your time. Let me know when you're ready.
But you had another guest just sign in. Maybe.
Hello, Rick. How you doing?
Hi, everyone doing today?
Good. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yo, Rick, what's up, man?
What's going on, Ralph? How's things?
Guy, yo, you know, Rick is the one.
Hey, Rick.
It's tough getting on.
Hey, Rick, how you doing, buddy?
And everything going on. I've been trying to catch up with Tim too. It's just tough meeting up with everybody.
Yes, sir.
Going
Good
in
to
on
see you, Rick.
Right now, Rick, you going in on Charlamagne in that situation. I feel like that man should step down now, man. And some of the things she was saying, I totally agree. We attack this part of the black culture. You want to say this is wrong, but we're over past that. Even like black on black crime. As soon as you start talking about black on black crime, you know what I'm saying, your head gonna get taken off. They're gonna start saying the white man does it too. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what's going on when it comes to that. But I have my own views too. Like, me and Tim had it on the phone when it comes to the white privilege and so on. I do have a little bit of, you know what I'm saying, with that. You know what I mean? I can break it down.
Okay. I'm gonna challenge you on that thought though.
There is, I just want to say one thing. There is one thing, Ralph. Pardon me 1 second.
From my head with this, you know. I know
Listen,
coming from my head.
There is no such thing as systematic racism. Not in 2021. So
The way you, okay. Okay.
Hold on, before we go there, we got to finish the topic of Charlamagne.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Sorry about that, Suni. Sorry about that.
I want to know what you think on the topic, Rick. I don't know if you know everything, and if you don't, let me know.
I only know what there's 2 video clips that I saw.
Okay.
I'm not fully up to snuff. He was commenting on, he was doing an interview where he inadvertently admitted to drugging and raping another young lady. I guess this was years ago. From
2001.
Yeah, I think it's horrible. I think he actually admitted to a crime.
And for people asking why he's not in jail, he's not in jail because he took a plea deal. Mm-hmm. He took a plea deal because the young girl did not testify in her own case. Her mom didn't want to further humiliate her. So the mom said, whatever, you know, and I'm a mom, so I'm not going to judge her mother, but I do have questions for that situation as well. And we won't even get into that on this show. I'll save it for another show. But that was to answer the audience's question. He's not in jail because he took a plea deal, and they can't go after him again. He took a deal, signed it on a dotted line, and the girl didn't testify. That's the only reason that he is not sitting in jail right now. The only reason.
I don't disagree with that. I don't think it makes him any better or his position any better. But that's actually a good reason why he's not in jail. The legal reason why he's not in jail. You know, it's pretty clear cut for me in that regards.
So I've had people challenge me on this as well on Instagram. Well, women lie. The fact that is your first response to this man, I just told you he's been talking about this for 2 years straight, and he's not remorseful. He laughs as if it's funny to drug anybody. Like, I don't care if she was 30, bro. I don't care if she was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna have sex with you at the end of the night. I don't care. You don't give somebody a drug to the point where they're not coherent. And he said she was passed out, blacked out.
Can I check in on that for a second?
Go ahead.
I agree with everything you just said. Once you take the person's ability to say no away, it becomes rape, regardless of what happens after that.
Absolutely.
Whether the intent was there or not. So I agree with everything you just said. To go back a little bit to what you were saying before, women lie. That's true. Men lie too. And where I'm going at with that is I don't believe in this new movement of believe all women, or believe all men, for that matter. I'm a very firm believer in facts and data. If you want to beat me in an argument, or if you want to convince me to come to anyone's side in this particular argument, the first thing I challenge you on is, well, what does the facts say? What does the stats say? You know, what does the data say? And then we'll we can backtrack from there. But there have been tons and tons of cases where women have lied to save face, like they shoot for the guy, and then they have second thoughts, or they catch feelings and it's not reciprocated, and then they lie. And then the male is at the disadvantage to defend those lies. And he's the one that's expending the money for lawyers, that's having to save face. And even if proven innocent, he still carries that stigma.
Yep.
And another thing is that there's no repercussions for the accuser. There have been a lot of cases where women have sent men to jail off of lies like that. And then it comes out years later, and it's just like, okay, you know, now we're starting to get little incremental, more on parity with them getting some kind of repercussion for false claims, but it's still very disproportionate. So that's why I say if you're gonna challenge someone and put their freedom on the line, it's always facts and data before opinion.
Facts. I agree with that.
I agree with that 100%. But that brings us to where we are, though. this is what I call the modern day feminism, liberalism, the buffoonery that they do. They're waging war on men, period. It doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your religion. It's just toxic masculinity. So the bottom line is they're waging a war on men because, number one, men are the backbone of a family, nuclear family. And in order to further, like I always say the Marxist doctrine or whatever, liberal buffoonery, whatever you want to call it, you got to break down the men. You got to make men weak. And that's what, and that's what's happening. So to touch off what Rick was saying, what you were saying earlier also, Suni, I believe it's just this liberalism, this mental disorder, and they're just tearing down men in general. They're just tearing us down. And us men got to, get our kahunas back and say, enough's enough. We're men. Yeah. We're supposed to take care of our women. You know what? I have, a daughter, 15-year-old daughter. If some dude actually slipped my daughter a Mickey, guess what? I'm 50, so I'm probably going to go to jail for half my life's over. You slip my daughter a Mickey and you rape her, chances are I'm going to jail for a very long time. I'm openly saying that on a live stream. So anybody out there, you ever see my beautiful daughter, just be aware. And I think every father, brother, cousin who have nieces or has cousins that are women, like, it's unacceptable. You just can't date rape somebody. You just can't slip them drugs. If you're that desperate, I'm not a believer in it, but if you're that desperate, get a hooker. Get a hooker. What I'm saying? So. I mean, that's just me being silly right now. But it's the truth, though. There's no reason to do it, and it's been going on for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Can I jump in on that for a second, Tim?
Sure, go ahead, sir.
I just want to make one statement on that. I agree with you as well. In that we should be defending our females, and everyone should be doing their part to defend their female friends, family, and all that. But that also entails a certain amount of danger as well, because when there is a lie, you do have so many men rushing either in defense or retaliation of the female. And a lot of times it's a friend, and some more of the, it's going to come out wrong, but some more of the scandalous women that play the field a lot and sometimes lie or disingenuous, they put themselves in a position and then they regret it, and then they make up a lie to save face or whatever. And then you have men that believe that and act on that bad information. And I think, not that we should never protect one, but I think we need to slow down and get accurate information. And then, by all means, do what we got to do to enact the whatever you feel you need to do. But I think first and foremost, it's accurate information needs to be based on accurate information.
Yeah, but when the dude openly admits it on live, 100%. Stuff like that, man, and he's a public figure, and he always has criticism for this, that, you know what I mean? Like, they always have that thing, don't throw rocks at the glass house. What is it? I forgot the saying.
Don't throw rocks when you're living in the glass house.
Yeah, so he's basically doing that, and he's being exposed again. It's been out. It's not the first time I've heard this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just coming out because he went after a man. He went after a man that he shouldn't have went after. You had no right to mention that man's name in any type of negative way when you come from where you come from. You know what I'm saying? So he needs. This is great that this has happened to him, to be honest, and this should happen more, to be honest. It's true. This should not be hidden, man. There's a lot of things in the black community. Since you want to use the black culture, whatever you want to call it, I agree with that. But in the black community, there's a lot of things that they don't want to be accountable for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's a tweet from this guy. Dudes ask me, how do you get out of the platonic friend zone? You don't. Just take the L and hope to sneak some when she's drunk.
Wow.
That's a tweet.
That's a pervert. That's a pervert in my eyes. Like you're letting your left hand know what your right hand is doing, and he's so full of himself that he actually thinks he's untouchable. And usually when people get to that point in life, the more they speak, the more they're going to reveal themselves.
Patriot, let me say something off that. With his platform, for him to tweet that, he has some type of backing. Somebody like it's like when they say they sell their soul, when people sell their soul, somebody got something on him, right? For him to put out that and not be, you know what I'm saying, and not be in trouble for it, even after those allegations. He has some type of.
Well, let's be honest, and not to be political. Bottom line, he's a Democrat liberal. They get free passes and everything. Hunter Biden, not to change the subject, but look at Hunter Biden himself, another pedophile. There's videos of him, pictures of him smoking crack, having sex with little Asian girls, little white girls, black girls in Haiti and China. So as long as you have a D in front of your name, and you follow this Marxist liberal ideology. Like you said, you're selling your soul, whether it's you're selling your soul to the devil or whatever it is that you want to come up with. That's the bottom line. And that's why he's protected. All evil's protected. You know, we're living in a wicked time and an evil time in this world in 2021. And the truth's not wanted. The truth is actually hated. And the messenger who sends the truth is despised. And that's why somebody like me or somebody like Suni or Ralph or Rick, whether we're on Facebook, whether we're I'm not on Instagram or YouTube, I was shadow banned. They just silence us and they call us radicals. You know, I'm sure all you three are two men and a woman of color. I'm sure you've been called. I've seen it firsthand with Rick and Ralph, coons, sellouts. You heard it from me. I'm a racist, this and that. You know, it's just ridiculous. If you believe in the truth, if you're a God-fearing person. You want to be individual accountability. You're going to be shunned. They're going to make you. They're going to make you the evil person. Woe to those who say is good is bad and bad is good. And we're living it. We're actually living it in this time. So I mean, that's all I really got to say about that. But I'll leave it for the next host to piggyback off that or add their own say to it.
Well, I'm gonna play. I wanted to bring attention to this because I feel as Black women, we have a duty to stand up for little girls that come from our community. And a lot of us have suffered the same fate. Like I said at the beginning, I actually had my, I did a show centered around Black culture, which is crazy. And the topic of molestation and all those things came up. And this guy was just being very cavalier. You know, he didn't act like he cared. He was just like, well, it happened to me too. You know, it's not a big deal. And I literally broke down on camera. This is my first time publicly even talking about it. And I'm like, how dare you? How do you act like this is a normal part of life and people just go through it and you get over it? You actually don't, especially when you don't have the resources or tools to help you understand what even happened to you. And Charlamagne himself went through sexual abuse.
Oh, for real?
Which is probably why he does what he does. Mm-hmm. I'm not giving him a pass, but these people have a pattern in a history, and we have to talk about it. I'm tired of this being taboo within the Black community. Black culture is destroying us. And if you don't wake up and see that it's literally a product and it's not even your own culture, because culture is not singular to race. If we're going to talk about culture, let's talk about nationality. Let's talk about American culture. Let's talk about where we all came from, because these things don't just happen in the Black community. It happens to white people. It happens to Hispanics, Asians. We're all going through something.
Absolutely.
This is why it's important to me. I want to be a voice for people who don't necessarily feel comfortable speaking out. And this dude's trash. I don't have a problem saying that. Everybody knows when they watch me, I don't mince my words. I've been labeled controversial, and all I do is say what you're afraid to say.
This is the late night creep.
That's it. So I'm going to play.
That's because you speak the truth. Like that's what I said earlier. And we're a nation, we're a world of deceit and dishonesty. And so when somebody speaks the truth, it's not accepted. It's not wanted. You're unfortunately in majority of society, you're an enemy. I'm an enemy. All four of us are enemies because we speak the truth. And if we're wrong, we'll admit we're wrong. We'll research. People don't research. They just go by what CNN says or what Charlamagne says or what Stephen A. Smith says or what Rush Limbaugh, what anybody says without actually researching it. And it sucks for all of us, all of us critical thinkers who who want truth, who wants to spread the truth. And I mean, that's really it. You know, I mean, that's why you get attacked, Sunni, because you're a humble person, number one. You're a God-fearing person, number two. And you're, you know, you speak the truth. So of course you're going to get, you know, attacked and criticized. And that's just, you know, that's a badge of honor to me. You know what? That's a badge of honor. That's why I'm honored to be on your show, because you speak the truth, whether it hurts people's feelings, whether we agree 100% or not, it doesn't really matter. It's a badge of honor to be on your show because you speak the truth. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. I watch your live broadcasts. I learn a lot. You know, like I said, I'm always looking for the truth. That's all I can say. I like to research. I'm sure Rick can piggyback off that. Rick's helped me out a lot in my little social media thing with researching. He's, you know, hit me up on some like good links to look up. So that's what it's all about. We all got to share each other's knowledge to get to where we need to be in society to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. I'm going to play a portion of this because he actually talks about the entire incident. And he lies. Now, I gave you guys context. I gave you a backstory. And when we're done here, I'm going to show you the documents. This dude is a straight liar.
It's the latenightcreep.com.
Oh, wow.
Creeping.
What's the wildest shit you ever did, like, after, like, since you gained fame with, like, either groupies or
I don't do that shit. I'm scared of that kind of shit. I done had a rape charge before.
Oh, for real?
Hell yeah. I'm scared of that kind of shit. I don't even play them.
You got, like, a charge? How you beat that?
Because I didn't do it. It was a criminal sexual conduct with a minor charge.
That means you would have to like register for the
I was
right?
it was the year 2000 2001. I think I was like 20. I was 20 years old. My cousin had just graduated from high school, and he had got a scholarship to Penn State University. And I had a
First of all, he lied. He was 22. It's in the court documents.
I'm changing the story here.
He's lying.
Yeah.
party, and I had all of these chicks at a party. Like, I was doing overnights I was working at D93 then, so I had all these chicks there that I met through radio, and you know, chicks that my dude had known. So I used to always see this chick with my dude. So I bought, you know, I invited her to the party. So she was at the party and shit. She got drunk, high, whatever. Something happened in the room with a couple of my dudes. I'm asking them, did they mess with the chick, you know, after the fact, after she pressed charges? And they was like, no. But they was like, yo, she's bugging. I remember the night of, they was like, yo, she's in here bugging out. She's kicking over the TV and she's trying to set shit on fire. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I had left. So the next morning, I'm hearing she said she got raped. She got raped. So I go to the hood to ask what happened. They like, yeah, you know, my cousin who had got the scholarship, yeah, he's in jail now. What you mean he's in jail? He's in jail. They said he raped the girl. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I go down to the jailhouse, talk to the detective myself.
Another lie.
No, ain't got no one for me. I just told the detective, like, hey, look, I take full responsibility for anything that happened in the house last night.
You gonna take the case?
No, but I told her, I said, as far as I know, because I asked around, did anybody fuck? I'm like, yo, nobody got raped. Yada yada yada. They didn't even have my cousin in custody.
I can't stomach it anymore. He further goes on to lie. I took full responsibility. No, they issued a warrant for your arrest. They called you and you went to the police station. All the stuff that he said they took from him, they did cotton swabs, they did this, that, and the third. They took hair. No, they didn't. They took blood. And the only reason that you're sitting there talking about this so cavalier and just so like nonchalantly is because this girl didn't testify. She didn't testify. Go look her up. Her name is Jessica Reed. She's got a documentary on YouTube. It's about 40 minutes long. I don't like people like this. I don't. I think he's scum of the earth. And I really can give two fucks what happened to this dude. They can drop him in the middle of the ocean for all I care. It's disgusting, man.
Nah, it's bad, man. Because he switched up the story big time. Big time. He switched it all up.
He's a liar. That's what liars do. When it's like a rat. When you corner a rat, I work in New York City, so I see a lot of rats actually. So when you corner a rat or a raccoon or whatever you want to call it, what do? You're cornered. You just attack. You start changing the story, you know, and you start lying. And that's what's the problem with liars is when you tell one lie, you need to tell two to cover the first one. You need to tell 3, 4, 5. Next thing you know, the story don't make any sense. And then that's where we are today. This guy's a grimy dude, pedophile, rapist, and so on and so on. That's all I want to say about it. I don't know. I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
I'm not surprised because there are very few people that are going to come out and say, "Yeah, I'm a pedophile piece of shit." Like,
but you don't have to come out and say it. I mean, your actions.
He's a horrible human being. He's trash.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not surprised he lied about it.
Me neither. This is the same dude who puts ass and balls in front of grown men. Like, look at it. This is funny.
Whoever would do that, whoever would do those actions, would lie about it.
I want to just jump back to about a couple minutes ago into the thing when you said, "How is he getting away with it?" And I kind of gave a little explanation. I just want to indulge further in that. How is he getting away with it? Another thing besides being a Marxist liberal idiot, the powers that be, world governments, our own politicians, they're all pedophiles themselves. They're all sickos, and they create the law, so they protect themselves. They appoint their judges. They appoint their commissioners of police departments, and judges and prosecutors and so on and so on. So I believe that also plays into everything that's going on. That's why the media, all the people on media, they're all part of it. I mean, I just one man, one opinion from my researches, from my 50 years on this planet. This is what my conclusion I came up with. So they're all protecting themselves, from the media to the courts, to sport agents, to sport owners, and so on and so on. I mean, if that makes any sense, or that's how I look at it. Just one man, one opinion. So
you're 100% correct. The government is all about self-sustainment. It'll always prioritize itself first over the populace.
Trump going after them people?
Oh Lord,
Trump falls into that same category too. I mean, but I think he put a target on his back when he said he was going to expose all the corruption, because in everyone at that level is a liar, cheater, stealer, in some cases killers, and you're surrounded by liars, cheaters, stealers, killers. So when you say you're going to go there and clean up all the corruption on both parties, left and right, they're going to look at each other and say, "Hey, business has been good over the last several decades. Even when we are in a recession, business for them is still awesome." So when you have someone come into the fray and say, "Hey, there's a lot of crap going on in here. We need to clean this up," you kind of unify both parties against you. The only reason why Trump won was because he was speaking the language that the regular people wanted to hear.
Yep. Well, that's what I call. I always use the term for years. It's called legal plunder, or legal plunder. What's plunder? Plunder is theft. If I do it, I go to jail. But if you're a law or a lawyer or a legislator, it's legal plunder because you're doing it legally. You make the law. So it's the same thing. Our government and world governments are now legalized organized crime. Like the mafia, the Russian mob, Italian mob, whatever, Colombian mob, like they're organized crime, but they're legalized and they're writing the laws. So they're protecting themselves. And this is the issue. And like you said, Trump came in, for 50 years of Trump's life, he sat there at these parties. He was a businessman. People got to realize that he was a businessman. So as a businessman, you're going to sit back and try to make your money. So I'll donate to Democrats. I'll donate to the Republicans. But he was on the inner circle, just biding his time. And he had enough. He ran for president. He says, "Listen, you guys are sickos. I'm a billionaire now. I have grandchildren. You guys are a bunch of sicko, pedophile, rapist, lunatics." Just like Ron Paul said years ago when he left Senate. They're all psychopaths. They're all psychopaths. And their gig is up. They know their gig is up. And it's going to come to an end. One way or another, it's going to come to an end.
Isn't that one of the topics for tonight? Trump 2024?
Yeah. And Trump 2024. Now, I know a lot of people I like Trump because of his policies. I like Trump because he's an American. He's down to earth. He's rich as shit, but he's still an American and he can relate to us at that level. But Trump is still a man. He can't save America.
Nope.
I think we have to be real with ourselves, even if he did win 2024, America's going to fall to its knees. There's going to be a socialist, a communist agenda that takes over. And I just want people to grasp that and really understand, like, Trump's great. I love him. But I'm on I got tunnel vision right now. I can see what's going on around me. I'm not oblivious to it. But I'm just focused on God and people waking up to what's going to happen to this country. This is just a rehearsal. You think it's bad now?
It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
It is.
And like you said, with Trump's just one man. Unfortunately, it's both sides of the aisle, in my personal opinion.
It is. There's only
like a handful of people on the Republican side, like a Ted Cruz or Rand Paul, Mike Lee, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, a couple of governors who are fighting for liberty and the Constitution, and the rest of the people are just profiting off of it. They're the way they conquer and divide us through nonsense is just and people fall for it, though. I mean, we're supposed to be educated. Like, how many people now are in college, have degrees, but yet they have not one lick of common sense? And,
yes.
and it's almost embarrassing. It's like you wasted all, like, okay, you got a degree, but you're dumb. I call, actually, I don't call them. I mean, it's a term that was around since the 1920s. They're useful idiots. They're useful idiots because they're indoctrinated. They were taught to think inside the box, not outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And life experiences give you, whether you're educated or not, or self-educated, because I believe, I never let school interfere with my education. That was just me to go there. So whatever, I could play sports or whatever I could do and talk to chicks, whatever, growing up. But other than that, school was never for me. Like, I didn't get my education in school. I got it outside of school. And people just gotta wake up. I mean, common sense is just not that common in a senseless world. And that's where we're living. We have a senseless world. Everybody's over-degreed. There's no jobs for their degrees. And their degrees didn't teach them how to think and reason. You got to learn how to think and reason and improvise. Question. I'm a skeptic, obviously. You got to question everything. And it's not so much as, well, this is what was said, or this was said, that was said, this state. You got to look. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say what it is you got to look at, like, what events led up to this being newsworthy or historical. Like, what led up to it, not what because the news media is saying or your professor's telling you this. They're only telling you what they want you to know.
Right.
They're not telling you what led up to those events, where now it's newsworthy and stuff like that.
Well, since we're talking about what the professors and educators and all these institutions teach, we can get on the topic of systemic racism. I've been Black 30 years. Y'all have probably been Black a little bit longer than me, but I didn't grow up hearing about systemic racism. I didn't grow up hearing about racism at all. The most I heard of racism is, white people just don't like you, but it's okay. You do your thing, they do theirs. You're going to face obstacles, but like racism just being crammed down my throat. No, I only talked about Martin Luther King on Martin Luther King Day. Okay. We didn't talk about Juneteenth. We didn't get educated on any of the history of slavery. It was just the civil rights on forward. That whole era of history, I had no clue about. So I'm on the same page with Tim. Systemic racism is BS.
I just want to say one thing, and then I'll let the other guests on the panel say something. My thing is this: systematic racism is a genius propaganda tool.
Absolutely. Okay.
To me, systematic racism is such a perfect Marxist liberal formulation. What it does is it takes a whole society and it takes a whole society without blaming anyone in particular. So it generates little opposition. It signifies everything and nothing simultaneously. It can't be proven and it can't be disproven. It's just a word that's thrown out there and people are buying into it. And it goes back to goes back to people not thinking. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist. Not in 2021. If you want to talk about it in 1860, okay, I agree. It happened. up until, somebody my age, I'm 50, anybody my age or younger, I'm the first generation. Ralph and myself are the first generation that were students after the Jim Crow laws, after segregation. So we're the first generation of that. So anybody my age or younger that cries this is just barking up the wrong tree, because you didn't face it. You didn't see it. Maybe our parents did. Our grandparents did, absolutely. But somebody my age, and you're actually somebody, I'm going to say I'm Generation X. So you're talking people that are like 56, 57 years old to like 43, 44. We didn't see it. It doesn't exist. Not in 2021, not in 2020, not in 2010. One man, one opinion. And it's systematic racism is a great it's a genius propaganda tool. And the people that are in power are using it perfectly to divide and conquer us. And we're falling for it.
I believe it exists to a certain degree. I seriously believe it does. And the reason why I say that, I can look at it. Let's look at it like this, for example. It's like I would tell Tim the same way. It's like a mother has a child. It's not a good way to raise a child, but she has two kids. She treats one better than the other. She raises them both, take care of them both, but she just treats one a little bit better. I don't believe we're in a systematic racism where blacks have no opportunity. I'm Haitian. I can't actually say that when I watch my peoples come from Haiti, come over here in this country and do well. So you can't tell me a black person there's not opportunity here. But I also believe that there's some form of favoritism towards the other child, the other two kids, the white child, the black child. I just feel like there's some form of favoritism. Let's not call it systematic racism, whatever you want to call it.
Who's favorite of the two children?
Who's running favorite? Let's say who's running the show as far as the country.
Actually, let's let Rick talk. But who's favored? The white child, or you're saying it's two children? In 2021, who's favored? The white child or the black child or the Asian child?
The year, when you bring up the year, you say 2021, I have to think about that like that. In 2021, is it
present? It's present day.
No, because I remember even when I grew up with you, bro. So I ain't going through no. What she said, I can agree with it to a certain degree. I didn't go through too much racism where white people calling me nigger and blah, blah, blah. I probably got called a nigger how many times in my life? Probably what, twice by a white dude? Once? You know what I'm saying? If I can remember, one time, twice. That's it. And it was because I was having problems with him. And that's what the word he wanted to use, and I took it the way.
Is that racism, or is that just ignorance and prejudice from somebody calling you that?
True. If you look at that,
racism would be you can't drink out of the same water fountain as me. You can't sit down in the same diner at a restaurant with your family, with my family. You can't go to school. That's racism.
It was like name calling, but
that's name calling.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick.
I get this argument a lot online, and I think people confuse and conflate systemic racism and individual racism. Systemic racism is the system is racist, right? The system is engineered to be racist and openly favors one group over another, right? Or hinders one group over another. Now, within the system, you can have a racist individual who is enacting their own will, their own little policies. But the system, every system and every government agency and organized business, there is no business that I'm aware of. There is no government agency that I'm aware of in the United States that has open policies that actually puts down one race over the other, right? Now, I'm going to backtrack on that a little bit, with the exception of like affirmative action, because there are some policies that do favor blacks, but I'm talking about for the blacks on the black end. When we cry systemic racism, when we cry about we are being held down, I disagree. I disagree immensely, because if we find someone, let's say a judge, they say judges are handing out more time to blacks than whites. Okay, fine. There's a lot of variables that go into that. If the crime was the same, was there other crimes committed during the commission of that crime, such as fleeing, resisting arrest? Did you have an accident? Did you have an accident while fleeing and cause other issues? You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that go into that add on to it. Are you remorseful? Do you have a prior history? So on and so forth. There are very few incidences where both criminals are exactly the same, and the only difference is the color. The only difference. It is almost impossible to find that. And then within the same municipality, and they get different time. It's usually dictated by law. Law says how much the minimums and the maximums are, and then the judge has some kind of discretion, right? That said, when you find a judge or anyone acting in any kind of capacity that does that kind of favoritism and it's identified, there's a legal recourse to remove them, right? You wouldn't have that in a systemic racist environment. It would be like it's set up for that, like segregation. That's what Tim was touching on before, it's segregation, right? Back before the Civil Rights Act, America was systemically racist. And the laws have leveled that out. It's leveled the playing field for all people involved. Now, if we can identify racism, right, in the government, we can address it, have people removed, and if it's egregious enough, we can have them criminally prosecuted, which has been the case of some of the judges that they found that's been handing out disproportionate time. That said, that defeats the purpose. That defeats the argument of racism, because it's not even legal anywhere. It's not legal. Now, that said, there is favoritism, such as the affirmative action. There are scholarships for blacks that whites can't even get, and other minorities, right? I understand the purpose and intent behind it. Do I agree with it? I don't know. I'd have to do some more research before I throw a lot of weight behind it or against it. But I do know it's there and it exists. And I wouldn't say it doesn't exist. We have a lot of programs and benefits for us as a culture that are not afforded to other races, other cultures. So but I would strongly disagree with anything that says that America is systemically racist. Do we have racists here? Yes. And I actually support people being racist. And what I mean by that is, if you should never have the government come in and tell them you're not allowed to hate somebody for whatever reason. Just like they can't come in and tell you have to love somebody for whatever reason. I want the freedom to love who I want to love and hate who I want to hate. Now, if you hate somebody, okay, that's on you, and you're a horrible human being. For if it's something stupid, you're a horrible human being. I don't have to mess with you. But I wouldn't tell you have to love somebody. So that was it. That's what I was getting at. I just want to touch on a few things. I was taking some notes here.
I can back on what you just said. And sometimes when I be seeing, like, sometimes when you hear blacks who will complain about going into a neighborhood that's all white, and the neighborhood wants to, like, everybody in the neighborhood wants to be white, and you hear blacks complain, I'm like, oh, that's what they want to do. Leave them alone. Like, they want an all-white community. Like, what's wrong with that? Why don't you just do your own community and stuff like that? So when you say stuff like that, I agree. I don't disagree with somebody who wants to. If you don't like me, that's why I kind of fell for Trump a little bit. You know my stance with him. I got attacked for Trump because I wouldn't hate on him. Mm-hmm. I always say politics. You know me. You know my stance, and I used to like that straight up stuff. No, what you call it? What that thing? No prompter. You know Trump ain't got no damn prompter. You know what I'm saying?
That's what gets him in trouble.
He's unfiltered.
His mind. Can't do that in politics.
I used to catch on to the media. I used to catch on to the media trying to make him look racist, even if he was or wasn't, I didn't care. But sometimes, like one time I seen him yell at a CNN lady. He yelled at a white lady from CNN. He called her all kinds of names and stupids and whatever. Then the black lady jumped in and he did the same thing to her. And then what the media said the next day, Trump attacks black lady. What about that white lady he was yelling at too? Y'all didn't think he was walking on that white lady and that white man. And y'all ain't say nothing about that. But as soon as he said something to the black lady, y'all got it on the media. Trump attacks black woman. I'm like, see?
It's ratings, though. Ralph, it's ratings. What's going to get ratings? Trump attacking a white woman or Trump attacking a black woman? What's going to fit the narrative, and what's going to bring you ratings?
I seen all that. So, and then another thing that could bug me out too is, like, before Trump, everybody used to call the television tell a lie, television, the media is no good. And soon as he says it now, the fake media, fake news, as soon as he said, everybody's like, I'm like, he been saying that. I've been hearing that for forever. We said the media is lying. As soon as he said it's no good, I'm like, I bet. I'm catching on.
Well, we have in this country what's called socio-economic privilege. I probably have a lot more privilege than somebody in the inner city would. And I'm black. There are white folks that live in the hood. And you know what? There are other white folks that probably are far better off than those white people. It's your surroundings. I was watching this movie on Netflix. I think it's called A Day in 40 Hours. He's in the hood, and it's this guy who's like into crime heavy. His father was into crime. His mother worked. His dad sold crack. Did cocaine. And in the movie, he's like, the government don't give a crap about us. White people don't give a crap about us. And I'm like, wow, they grow up in these set of circumstances. Okay. And I didn't grow up in the inner city, but I grew up around it. Like it was right there at my front door. So you grow up with these set of circumstances, and this is your surrounding all the time. This is when reality is a perception is reality kicks in. It's your reality though. It's not mine. It's not anybody else's on this screen. I have never been targeted by cops. My husband's never been targeted by cops. I can't even talk about if my dad was targeted by cops. It's not the same for all of us. There's a socio-economic privilege.
Well, that's
yes.
True. That's true.
Yes, and you know what? People can't get mad at that. You don't get to get mad and get jealous because
in trouble. They don't worry about my whole. I'm Haitian. I'm full-blooded Haitian. I'm the black sheep of the family. I'm the one. And then when I used to worry about police, I was in the streets. But now, I'm not doing. That's why sometimes when I say to people that complain about police and this, that, I always ask them, who's complaining? Is it law-abiding citizens or is it criminals?
Yeah.
You know, I always want to ask that question. And I don't think the police is perfect. But I don't want to say they're the problem number one. Sometimes in the hood, especially when you have black on black crime. You know what I'm saying? When you have black on black crime, and you keep getting mad at this person, it's like, whoa. If we're gonna get mad at them, let's get mad at this too. You know what I'm saying? But I get my head chopped off for that scenario. You know, and sometimes I disagree with the police, and sometimes I agree with them. But you know, blacks want me to, you know what I mean? Black people, you know what I mean? If you're watching this, I'm talking to you. Black people, y'all want me to fit the narrative, and me, I like to see the balance. Like you see, that's why me when I hear Ricky, that's why I'm always passionate with Ricky, because Ricky sticks to facts. He don't have
yes, he does.
There's no emotions with this guy. You should see him soon on this Facebook, girl. This dude got no emotion, and they be attacking him. He'll just splash him with facts still, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about, and I believe the balance. And me and Ricky is bump heads. Me and Ricky is bump heads on the thing. You know,
it's all love.
You know which one too, Rick? I used to want to get
it's all love.
4 shots. That 4 shots was too much, bro. 4 shots was too much, man.
I gotta say. Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to jump in on what Ralph was saying for a little bit. The issue, I have an issue with urban black culture, right?
Absolutely.
I find it extreme, not black culture, urban black culture. I find it extremely destructive. Like, if you go to school, if you go to work, if you're doing something about yourself and you move out of the hood, you're a sellout. You're not looked on as someone who made it, someone who was successful, something to aspire to. Because you should just stay in the hood and the ghetto with high crime and high poverty? That should be the goal? No, the goal is to make it out. And when you see that, you emulate that, right? You emulate success. And they always trash talk, well, the white man does this and the white man does that. Okay, what are they doing? What successful traits are they doing? And emulate those. But if you do that, you're criticized and ridiculed. So what do we have? What are we perpetuating on TV, right? Infidelity, violence, drugs, right? You're not real if you don't get shot. You're not real if you don't have several baby mamas. Like, these are the things that everyone talks about, and it's like, okay, well, I'm real. Oh, you're real what? Okay, and they call me Uncle Tom. They call me race hater, race traitor, all that stupid stuff. And I was like, okay, I don't cheat on my wife, right? I go to work, I do my thing, I come home, I provide for my family, right? We moved out into the country, we're doing well, right? But they don't look at the success of what it took to get there. They only look at that I left and the method that I chose to do it. And there's a lot of hate involved. So I disagree with urban Black culture in that regards. In terms of the police, I think me and Ralph kind of diverge here. I tend to side more with law enforcement only because I put myself in their shoes. In all the situations, I put myself in their shoes. You know, they get up in the morning, they get dressed, they go to work, and they're thinking, you know, what am I doing this weekend? What do I got going on later on today? And then they're thinking about their job too, but they're not out driving around, or I should say the vast majority aren't driving around looking for Black people to screw over. Just driving around angry, like, I'm gonna find this Black nigga and I'm gonna pull him over and I'm gonna ruin his day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we set the tone, right? You get some people, like, I got pulled over a lot. I still do. I get pulled over a lot. And maybe it's because I'm Black, but I have dark tints, right? I got jet black tints. So I give them a reason to pull me over. And when they pull me over, I roll down all my windows. I don't care if it's raining, it's pouring. I roll down all my windows. I turn on all my dome lights, 2 hands on the wheels, vehicle off, and I'm polite. How you doing today, officer? How's your day going? And it sets the tone. And anything they ask, I will do. Even if they're dead wrong, the side of the street is not the place to argue. The court is the place to argue. And people take it like it's their right. And they look on TV and see all these people fighting and think it's their right to argue because everyone else is doing it. And then the police, they never meet you equally with the equal amount of force, right? If you raise to one level, they're going to exceed that to establish control and dominance. That's how they train. That's what they always do. So I always tell people, like, when you meet these officers, like, take it down a notch and always comply. And I always get attacked for that.
Yes, that part of the police, that part right there, I totally agree. I teach it to my son. I got grown son. I got a 28-year-old son, and I tell him straight: the police pull you over, you listen to them. You don't. That's it. I don't want to hear nothing. You comply. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you. Sometimes I seen dudes do stuff or he's running resisting arrest, and something happens to him. Like, see, for every action is a reaction. Mm-hmm. I just go against, like say, for example, the girl, remember when the cop came on the scene, the father was dead, and he put 4 shots in and it killed him. I just think 4 shots was excessive. You know, it's just little things like that. I understand the police has a job to do. Like I said, I come from a different background. You know that, Rick. Mm-hmm. I come really from the streets, for real. So, but now that I don't in the streets, I don't worry about the police. They don't bother me. They don't. That's a fact what you just said. They don't see me. I could be looking in my same hood manner that I've been looking back in the days, and they don't do nothing to me. Why? Because I'm not in that world. I'm not worried about them, and they're not worried about me. I got sons. My sons don't come home and be like, "No, Dad, I got pulled over today again." So that I have to agree. I just believe in the procedure. Sometimes a little bit need to be tweaked. I think they need a little bit more hand-to-hand combat in their regiment. And stuff like that, you know, that's my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but even if you weren't doing anything wrong, right? Let's say you weren't doing anything wrong, and the cops came to harass you, right? Mm-hmm. All these people were talking about the cops are out here murdering Black people. I have yet to see a video where a Black guy was sitting there minding his own business, and the cop rolled up and shot him for no reason, whatsoever. There's usually some kind of back and forth with it.
Thank you.
Runs or does something stupid.
I'm glad you said it, so I didn't have to.
I've been saying this all the time.
I get my head taken off. What you mean?
It's always something that escalates. I just want
to interject real quick for two seconds because I enjoy listening to what you guys are all saying. Mm-hmm. Just to go back to what Suni said earlier and what actually Rick was talking about with the urban Blacks. The bottom line, I'm going to simplify the complex. It comes down to this: individualism and accountability. And this is what it is. Whether you're white or Black, Asian, doesn't matter what you are, Jewish, Christian, Muslim. If you hang out with crackheads, chances are you're going to be a crackhead. If you hang out with thieves, chances are you're going to be a thief. If you hang out with successful business people, chances are you'll be a successful businessman. If you hang out or you know people who are union workers, chances are you'll be a union worker. And this is the problem. It's about individualism. It's about you as an individual should be held accountable for your own individual actions, and you got to suffer your own consequences. And this is where unfortunately, again, I'm being redundant with this liberal Marxism buffoonery. They believe in this collective Marxism. You got to understand something. Poverty is a commodity. So what they're going to do is they're going to group people to white poverty, black poverty, white drug addicts, black drug addicts. That's the way they keep their power, is by putting us into groups. But we're not groups, because majority of the people, white and black, Asian, Hispanic, we all, like, I grew up, Ralph, I know Ralph since I'm 10 years old. He'll tell you that. So we grew up in a community diverse where we're hanging out, obviously I'm going to show my age. We had keg parties and stuff like that. It was black, white, Asian, Jew, Muslim, keg parties. Can't have that today. But, we all hung around, smoked our blunts, smoked our weed, drank our beer, hung out, went to dance clubs. There was no racism. I see more or make-believe racism. We all hung out and chilled. We played football, took showers after football games together. Nobody cared. And all of a sudden, here I am now, I was probably like 40, I'm 50 now. I was like 44, 40. I started seeing this whole switcheroo, like, oh, there's racism and this and that. And it's just a bunch of buffoonery to me. So I just want to put that little 2 cents in. But actually, guys, get to carry on, because I was enjoying what you guys were saying, and I'm learning from that, because I'm not black, so I can't look at it through a black person's eyes. To be honest with you, I can't.
Well,
so I just want to say I'm enjoying what you guys are saying, and then actually, it's making me more aware of things that I didn't know. So I'll just leave it to that. And
I'm just gonna play this. I'm gonna play this in the background because I'm trying. I want to drive home. This is a compilation of white folks. These are actually white people that are not resisting.
White people getting shot.
Right, not resisting, following commands, complying, and they get obliterated. Black culture teaches us you got a target on your back if you're black.
I'll be right back. I have my doorbell.
You got a target on your back if you're black, and that's BS, man. This is Daniel Schaefer. This is a guy I talk about all the time, and they just murdered him in the hallway. That's murder, and these cops were not charged.
Well, I saw that video. What if you listen to the audio, and if you look, I don't know if you saw some of the background. The police were called because there was a report that he was pointing a rifle at people at the hotel, out the window of the hotel. So the cops don't really know what they're getting into. All they know is there's an armed person, and they're responding to it. And the guy is walking on his hands and knees, but he keeps dropping his hand to pull up his. It looks like his shorts kept getting, like, while he was walking on his knees, it looks like he was wearing these low-cut shorts, and they kept pulling down because they kept getting caught between the carpet and his knees. And he kept pulling his shorts up, but the cops were saying, "Stop reaching in your waistband." And they could have handled that better, but I don't think they were necessarily wrong. They should have had him lay down, and they should have approached him, put his hands on his head, and not approached them. He should have just laid down, put his hand behind his head, crossed his ankles, and they should have approached him. But I could see, like, at the moment, hindsight's always 2020. Hindsight's always 2020. But when you're called about weapons, and they may have other weapons and they've been pointing at people, I could see it putting people on the defensive.
Yeah, but that dude was on the ground. He did kind of have his hands up. Then the cop didn't have to put them shots in him right there.
Well, he had his hands up, but he kept dropping his hands. He had his hands up, and he kept dropping his hands.
That cop had an itchy. That's one of them itchy fingers, man.
Yeah, that's itchy fingers. That's fear. That could be a lack of training.
That's one of them.
I wouldn't have pulled the trigger on that, but I could see how some would. I would not.
Because you got to understand, Rick. Let's be honest here. That's human error in the police force. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I say there's human error, and that right there to me is human error. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I understand what you're saying. He coming on the scene, he got to be ready. When you get called to a scene of the rifle over there, you should come over there on the ready. I get it, but you see a man on the ground. I don't think he had to kill that man. That's all I'm saying. He didn't have to kill
I agree. I agree with you. I wasn't there though. You know what I mean? Depending on the call that came across the radio, depending on that cop's experience, there's just a lot of things that go into it. I wouldn't have done it, but that's me from the safety of my living room. You know what I mean? I'm in the safety of my living room. Nobody's bothering me. I wouldn't have done it. But if I'm there, I got the report. The last call I could have had, the guy could have been real quick and drew it, and I just barely got out. I could have been shot before as a cop, and it makes me extra trigger happy. There's so many things that go into it. But ultimately, the big thing is compliance. And that guy was being compliant for the most part, but he wasn't following commands. When in doubt, it's a safe bet to just lay there, put your hands on the back of your head, or flat out, and just lay flat out, spread eagle on the ground, face down, and let the cops come to you.
Okay. Salty Granny. That could be very well true. It doesn't mean that cops killed them. Again, this is when context and you doing research matters. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the popular YouTube channel. Over 1,000 in 2021. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. I look at statistics every single day, bro. Every day. And here's what you got to ask yourself. If it is indeed 1,000, over 1,000, how many of them were criminals fighting and threatening the cops to even want to put them in that position to defend themselves or eliminate a threat? How many of those were actually unarmed black men not doing absolutely nothing? They don't give people the context in that. They just throw the number out. Oh, over 1,000 of people. They sensationalize it. People are emotional. This is a trigger for black people. So they see that and they're ready to go to war. And it's so far from the truth.
And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, when I hear that, because it's like for example, right? I was talking to somebody and they was doing what they was doing. That they was talking like, "Yo, the police is killing black like crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, it looks bad," and that's the word that I use. It looks bad, right? And I was like, why are you complaining? The police never did nothing to you. I said, you complaining like they did it to you. I said, how many other people are complaining about the police? Nothing never happened to them with the police. They're complaining for somebody else. And you don't even know what that person's done. You don't know what limelight. That's why I always ask that question. Who's really getting harassed by the police? Is it the criminal, is it the law-abiding citizen, or the non, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good question to ask. Who the police really shooting? You feel what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, because this time I see it, I don't care. I'm like, yo, the police is wrong. This time I see it, I'm like, see, he shouldn't have resisted. He shouldn't have did that. But who is the police really harassing out of that 1,000, like you said? Because most of the people that are really complaining, most of the people, some of them have never been touched by the police. They have an issue. They're going by the media. They're only going by what the media keeps showing them. And then, like you just showed, you showing these videos of these black shootings. Why don't the media do that too? Because it's like okay, some people be like, more blacks are getting shot, more blacks at a higher rate are getting shot by whites. But if there's 1,000 whites that got shot, why don't you show them anyway? You could show the 500.
It doesn't sell ratings.
I know it doesn't.
I just want to say, sorry for apologize. I got to apologize. I walked out. I didn't realize my daughter has a sweet 16 party, so that's why I left. So I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But what you're trying to get at, if I'm saying that to black people, are we asking that question as black people too? Like, I don't want to sit on the blame game. I don't want to sit on the blame game. Like, are we asking that type of question? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, can I say something, or? Well, I'll put it this way. Tim Davis, one man, one opinion. Honestly, there is no bigger critic than myself about police brutality. I've actually butted heads with a lot of like-minded conservatives or so-called conservatives and Republicans. But I will say this: I'd rather have police than not have them. And when I'm a critic about them, I'm not a critic. I'm more critical of them when they violate the Constitution and their oaths, not by most of their behavior, because most of their behavior is justified. And with that being said, I'm not one of these people, I'm a blue, back the blue. I'm not. I'm a constitutionalist. I'm a constitutional conservative, God-fearing person. But there are 5 myths of systematic racism in policing. And there's 5 myths.
Among blacks?
There's 5 myths, period, of systematic racism in policing. regarding blacks, whites, or Asians, or whatever. So basically, it's this. I wrote this whole thing down, so I'm going to paraphrase it again. I'll just give it, we can save it for another show. But the belief that law enforcement is infused with systematic racism is a myth. It really is, as evidence, data, and stats demonstrates it. Blacks are not disproportionately killed by police. Moreover, than the perception of white officers are trigger happy is also baseless. And here are the 5 popular lies. And like I said, there's no more person critical than me about tyranny, tyrants, police, Gestapo, because I always compare the police to the Gestapo, the Roman foot soldiers of modern age. So one of the myths is blacks are disproportionately killed by police. White officers are trigger happy. Police officers employ unjustified force. 4, depolicing is good for black communities. That's another myth. Defund the police. It's a myth. It's stupid. And the 5th one is progressive criminal reform benefits black people. I mean, I can go on that, but I don't want to, take over the show. But I believe that the systematic racism of police in our society and our culture is a myth. It's a fallacy. And sure, there's a few bad apples, but critical. I criticize them, but I also praise them when praise needs to be done, just like our government. If you're breaking your oath and violating your constitutional duties, then I have a problem with that. But majority of what we see on TV, they're only doing it to sell ratings. They're only doing it to divide the people, to keep us divided, to keep us wanting to butt heads and blame one another of not being, it's just, systematic racism. And this is one of the reasons why I don't believe in systematic racism. And that's, like I said, we can, if Sunni wants to do another show on racism and policing, I have I can go on and on about it, because I actually was going to do a little show myself on it, but I'm not going to take up the time on this show to do that. But there are 5 myths about it, and people are buying into it hook, line, and sinker.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I just the clip, right, of the video. I'm watching this video, and I seen that cop shoot that old man, the big heavy-set old man with the belly. This is what I mean, Ricky. That man, did he have a gun? Did he have a weapon on him?
He had a knife. It looks like a small knife in his right hand, and he kept pointing it at the cop. That's what it looked like to me.
That
But I
cop
could be wrong.
method than putting 4 or 5 shots in him.
You want me to fill that in?
Rick, I'm coming at you. I know.
What would you do?
No, that's fine.
What would you do, though?
The reason why cops use multiple shots,
He had no shirt on. I would have
if you
figured.
realize in a lot of these videos, the cops are pumping rounds into people. In some of these videos, they're pumping rounds into people, and they're still going. They'll get 2 or 3 tasers, several officers shooting at them, and they're still coming. So cops trained to shoot until the target is down, the threat is gone.
Everybody's trained that way, Rick. Everybody, even the private citizens, trained that way.
100% correct. But a lot of people say, well, they didn't have to shoot him that many times. Well, if you're going to use lethal force, doesn't matter if it's 1 shot or 8. Well, you're already using lethal force.
I'm saying he's a.
Hold on a second there, Ralph. Just to dive into what Ricky's saying, why there's so many multiple shots. Now, obviously, I'm a pro-Second Amendment guy. I'm a gun enthusiast. The fact is this: 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s. The police officers, first of all, it's the firearm at their sidearm. They're using 9mm. Okay,
mm-hmm.
It's a good pistol, but to me, that's why you got to pump 5 rounds into somebody. Back in the day, police officers had .357 Magnums and .45s. 1 shot, that person's down. Right? I mean, anybody that knows anything about firearms, but what happened was these lobbyists, oh my God, they're using such high-powered pistols and they're shooting 1 person, they're bleeding out, blah 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 blah. So when somebody's high on some kind of meth or crack or cocaine or they're drunk, so when it's what is it called, connective energy. So you shoot with that 9mm, which is a reliable pistol, but it's not a powerful pistol. Anybody knows it's really not that powerful. So that's why you can put 5-6 rounds to put somebody down. If you have a 45, You have a 45, you're putting them down with one shot. You hit them in their pinky till they're bleeding out. So they changed the laws of the policing because their firepower that they had 40, 50 years ago was too strong.
I don't know if it was too strong, Tim, or if they were trying to prevent over-penetration.
On the scene and that's
collateral damage. But
okay, you're right.
But for what
situation right there in the video, though, was there other cops on the scene?
From what I could see, we can't tell.
You got to ask yourself this.
But here's the thing:
he don't have a baton. He don't got a taser.
But you got to ask yourself this: as forget about being a trained officer. Just think, because anybody who owns a firearm or a pistol, anybody that owns a firearm, they train themselves to know their firearm, how to use it, and how to use it properly. And every person that ever used a firearm knows you shoot center mass. If you're gonna pull your firearm, you're pulling it out with the intent to use it. You're not using it to shoot somebody in the leg, to shot, a warning shot. You're doing it to eliminate the threat. Okay, that's just a fact. That's just a fact. So when you eliminate it, so you got to look at it like this. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, these guys are trained professionals." Any gun owner who owns any gun is a trained professional. I personally believe that. I've been shooting guns since I'm 10 years old. I'm 50. The fact is this: what would you do, Ralph, or what would anybody else that wants to disagree with me? What would you do in that position if you're facing that? They're assaulting your daughter. They're coming after your wife. They're coming after your neighbor. And there's somebody coming out with a baseball bat, a knife, another weapon, and you have the weapon on your side. You have a split second to make a decision. Do you defend your neighbor? Do you defend your wife? Do you defend your mother? What would you do differently than what these cops do?
No. See, when it comes to protection, somebody got a baseball bat coming after my family. They're getting plugged. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about that situation right there. That cop is on the scene. Okay, a man has a knife. He's out. Cool, I get it. Right? Was there other cops on the scene? So you trying to tell me there's 3 cops on the scene? A man pulls out a knife. An old man. A man pulls out a knife. And the best procedure the cop got is to put 4 slugs in them and kill him?
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's whack.
Go ahead, Rick.
It's not whack. It's not whack. You eliminate.
Go ahead, Rick. Hold on. Go ahead, Rick. We got to let everybody talk.
I don't disagree with Tim, Ralph. The non-lethal options are, like you were saying before, baton, taser. Right? In the taser may not be the most non-lethal because people have died from tasers, but tasers have a fail rate of 50% or greater. There's tons of videos of people shooting tasers, cops shooting tasers into people, and some of them get stunned momentarily, pull the prongs out, and keep on trucking, or they show no visible effect at all. So, when the cop is using his taser, that's his non-lethal means. If it's ineffective and he goes to the 9mm, that's his lethal employment. He's not sitting there, and I would never want a cop to be counting rounds as he's shooting. I would want the cop to shoot. If he's going to make the determination to use lethal force, he should use lethal force until it's no longer required, whether that's one shot and the person's down. Now, if he's standing over them, pumping rounds into them, now we have a different story, right? But if they're still up and they're still moving, they're still a threat. And if he needs to pump in 1 or 8 rounds into them, that's what it requires. That's how I see it, especially if I'm on the receiving end and someone's trying to stab me, like we made that mention of, was it Michaela Bryant, I believe her name was? She was in the process of trying to stab another woman. I don't know the girl's age. I have to go back and read up on it. But she was right in the process of doing that, and the cop was over 10 feet away. I think he was closer to 15 feet away. Too far to impact her physically, like to stop her physically, and outside the range of the taser, the effective range of the taser. He had less than 2 seconds to make a decision to save that girl's life. And he did, and people lost their minds. Me personally, I applaud the cop. It was quick thinking, because he was focused. Originally, you see him focused on the father that was fighting the chick that had fell beside him. He was trying to stomp her out, and he notices the flash of the knife. And in that split second, he drew his weapon. He gave her several orders. Either she didn't hear it or she totally disregarded it. But he shot her several times in quick succession. He could have shot her once and it had no effect, or he could have missed. You're not watching the bullets into the person, right? Sometimes you don't see the first effect, and when things are happening in such rapid concession, you get tunnel vision, right? everything condenses and you react kind of quickly. And it might be some panic shooting in there. But I commend him because he got all rounds on target in such close proximity and he didn't hit the victim.
Yeah, but don't they train for that when they go to the firing range?
No.
Training and real life actions are completely. You can train to box, you spar, you box, but once you're in a boxing ring for the prize money, it goes out the window. You train in playing football, you practice. As soon as you're in a real football game, everything's different.
I know
their training consists
like like when they be showing like hood dudes the way they hold a gun and he doesn't know. That's training so you can get the right aim and you can make sure when you take 4 shots you're gonna hit center mass. Somebody with no training, he's not gonna take 4 shots. He's gonna miss here. He ain't got no training. So you can't tell me the training doesn't.
That person that's gonna miss 4 shots doesn't deserve to have a firearm. Then if he can't train himself and how to shoot right.
That has no effect.
Just hunting.
I want to counter that a little bit, Zim.
Yeah, go ahead.
They say when police train, right, they're shooting at either regular dog targets, right, the circle targets, or like the able targets, right, the silhouette targets.
Mm-hmm.
Even in peacetime with no stressors on them, they have like around, I think it's like a 70% accuracy rating, most cops, depending, right? Once you start adding stress like moving targets, lights, sound, the level of lighting that you're shooting in, whether or not you're scared, you're by yourself, whatever, accuracy decreases to as little as I think it's 30% in some of these studies that they were showing. Officer accuracy and everything going on decreases to as little as 30%.
I could take that.
On target.
I could take that.
Now,
but you got.
But now, but addressing what Tim was saying about their training, they're not. There's no way to train for every possible scenario that they could find themselves in. So they train for the common ones. The person going from passive to aggressive in a heartbeat. That's why they're always on. That's why they're always on guard. So, I remember you made a statement in one of your posts before about why didn't he shoot her in the leg or the arm or shoot the gun out the hand. The reason why they always shoot center mass is because that's the easiest, largest target and the quickest to put them down, right? This is moving right here. The fastest parts of the human body besides the eyeball is probably the arms and the legs, right? Trying to shoot that while they're moving, the arm is moving, they're moving, and the officer's moving, all three are moving at the same time, and then you add distress, possible poor lighting, your chances of missing goes from low in a regular training scenario to like extremely high in a real world scenario. And that's why they train not to take those shots. You could have a military trained sniper or a SWAT sniper, and they probably wouldn't be able to do a shot like that, like shooting something out of somebody's hand, moving at speed. They probably miss 90% of the time. I don't know any shooter personally that can make that shot, and I know some expert shooters.
No, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. But that brings me to what I was saying. Like whether you're a trained officer, whether you're a trained hunter, people hunt for a living. Actually, not just hunting for food or just hunting for sport. They hunt for a living.
I'll be right back.
The first thing you do when you're hunting is you shoot center mass.
Yep.
You don't shoot a leg.
Miss? What if the cop
right?
misses?
Because if you miss, it can go. I have a 30-06. I hunt with the 30-06. So if I shoot my 30-06 and I miss a deer that's 200 yards away, that 30-06 round's going to go about a mile. Who knows what's behind that? There could be a kid in a neighborhood in the backyard playing, and the woods divided. I'm upstate New York, so we have like stuff like that. So you train to shoot center mass to bring whatever it is down. Mm-hmm. You don't train to shoot in the leg, shoot in a buttocks or the hind. You shoot to center mass to bring it down. One shot. I hate to say it. I mean, I'll probably get in trouble. One shot, one kill. So aim small, miss small.
Miss small.
That's it. Bottom line. But that's
what's your thoughts on it, Sonny?
I'm just really just factual based. If the person's unruly, it's unfortunate, but you get shot.
Exactly.
I think I don't like when people throw in the Constitution and policing. I think that's super dangerous because you're kind of putting yourself on a high horse there, and you're like, hey, this Constitution says you can't do this to me, but there are certain modifiers to situations. Like if they don't know what's in the car and you're acting weird, get the fuck out. And I'm about to search this because you could put not only them in danger, yourself in danger, the public in danger. And it's just dangerous, man. A lot of people that do that, I used to watch those videos all the time on YouTube years ago, where people are constantly using the Constitution and then just being assholes to cops, man. Like,
Yeah, it's
yo,
uncalled
pull
for.
over, give your ID, and go about your day. It's just like BS on top of BS on top of BS on top of BS.
Well,
I understand where cops are, and I can say, yes, you have to have a temperament for the job, absolutely. But I can see why they get frustrated. Like, yo, I want to suplex you right now. Just do what I'm asking so we can both go home.
But
how often are you going to run into a cop that's really going to use his badge to give you a hard time?
I've run into that once or twice. I've run into the jackass cop once or twice.
Yeah.
And the onus is still on you to keep yourself safe, right? Like,
absolutely.
Follow the commands.
Look,
it doesn't get any harder than that. Like if you do everything that you're told, if you're already caught, you're caught, right?
Right.
If you're doing something wrong and you're trying to get away, you're compounding your issue. Chances are you're not going to get away.
Right.
But let's just say you do. Okay, fine. But you're making this. You're putting a cop in a position to make some very difficult decisions. You may not like the decisions that he makes.
Right.
See, I just want to say this. I look at it like this. The videos that Sunni's talking about, like the First Amendment audits and stuff like that, I agree with you. These people are buffoons, completely buffoons. My argument with the Constitution is this. When officers, first of all, I'm going to blame the police unions and the legislators. I don't blame the police. I blame the legislators who make arbitrary laws that are violations of the Constitution and put cops in harm's way by making them enforce tyrannical laws.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just me, one man, one opinion. What I mean by Constitution, like you said, first of all, anybody, doesn't matter if it's me, you, anybody, if you're speeding, if you're drunk, driving, smoking weed, you're committing a crime. So if you do get pulled over, put your hands on the wheel. Yes, sir. No, sir. Be respectful. The problem, when I'm talking about with the Constitution, just to articulate my argument, I'm talking about like red flag laws, no knock raids and stuff like that. See, I don't like to blame police officers themselves for. I mean, there was Nuremberg trials. The Nazis tried it and it didn't work for them. Just following orders and doing my job is not an excuse. And I'm not comparing our officers to that, but the way our legislators, our representatives, are creating laws and forcing and they're handcuffing our officers. They're legislating laws that are unconstitutional. A red flag law, because your neighbor says, "Oh, I see my neighbor bringing his hunting rifle out of his trunk of his car at 6 p.m. All of a sudden, you're going to come knock and kick my door down at 3 a.m. Somebody's going to get shot, whether it's the officer or whether it's the person that's sitting home that just went hunting. That's the problem I have when I mean unconstitutional laws. Now, these First Amendment audits, to piggyback what you said, Sunni, you're 100% right. These people are idiots, complete idiots.
How often does that actually happen, though, to where cops are just knocking down your door because your neighbor said you have this gun?
It happens every day. They don't report it. It happens every day. I'm in New York State.
I don't disagree with no knock warrants. I like I said, there is a catch-22. You need to be able to catch a criminal in the act.
We're America. There's no such thing as pre-crime in America. You can't.
There is though, because there's active crime happening. I've gone to the hood. There's active crimes happening there. Okay, and if cops need to knock down the door to get in there, they should have. Why should they be able to do that?
Because you have to. Because
this is why I said.
Unfortunately, America. No, unfortunately, we live in America. We don't live in China. We don't live in Russia. We live in America.
No, the Constitution is to govern us as a whole, and the government. It's a check and balance.
Negative.
Negative.
The Constitution.
You can't overtalk me. You can't.
sorry.
That's impossible to have a conversation.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Constitution governs us, and it's supposed to govern the government too. That's why it's there, to tell our government how to handle things. But there are also things called state laws and legislation. And big government is not supposed to come down and dictate all that stuff. If a cop needs to get in and do a no-knock warrant on a criminal that they have been investigating, what is wrong with that? That's not infringing upon your rights. You're a fucking criminal. You ain't got no rights no more. Your rights are gone.
But who says that?
I do. Every American who has to deal with the criminal. You don't have any rights.
But the Constitution
no more.
Doesn't say that. The Constitution doesn't say that.
I'm saying that.
Right, but the Constitution
as an American who believes in the Constitution.
Okay, so let me just say this. The Constitution itself. The Constitution itself is not. I'm going to disagree with you here. The Constitution itself tells the government what they can do, but it's also the individual, the people, the citizens, you, me, and everybody else. It's our document that says what the government cannot do to us as individuals. So the no-knock raids, whether that person's a criminal from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that's all irrelevant. Because because somebody says, I think he's selling drugs out of his house, you go, listen, when you take a group of men and women that are armed and you go across country lines and you invade another country, that's an act of war. So if you doesn't matter if we're going to Iraq, Afghanistan, North Korea. So if you're taking police officers with that's what the 4th and 5th Amendment and 6th Amendments are about. So if you're taking men who are armed and women who are armed, and you're going to another person's house on hearsay or a FISA court document, and you go kick their door down at 4 o'clock in the morning. No.
Let's be realistic.
That is realistic. That's an act of war.
It's an act of war.
Absolutely.
Most of the time, these warrants, listen, I'm from the streets, man. I know about no-knock warrants. I've been in over, I'm going to be honest, man. I've been in over like 5 of them. I've been in over 5 no-knock warrants. I used to be in a trap house. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking from experience. All right. When that neighbor calls, they call the patrol unit of that area. They'll call and be like, yo, I see traffic going along in this house. They call the police. You know what that patrol officer does? Now he'll sit at the end of the block. He observes. He takes a look. He sees traffic going in and out of that house. What did he do after that? He calls the drug department. Now it's not his force anymore. He has to tell the narcos, whoever running that drug task force, he be like, yo, I see some traffic going over there. Y'all should go check it out. Now what do the narcos do? They start sending their guys that dress funny. They look into their snitches, and they do all this, and they do their investigation, and then they pinpoint to the fact that they see that you're selling drugs, whatever you're doing out that house, and that's how that no-knock warrant happens. And they're going to kick you.
Illegal. It's illegal and unconstitutional.
Oh, what are you talking about? They figured it out. They figured that you're selling drugs.
You have to get a warrant from a judge. You got to have probable
They do,
cause.
which is why they have a no-knock
No, they
warrant
don't.
in the first place.
From the investigation.
A no-knock warrant.
Breonna Taylor. That'll sum it up right there.
A no-knock warrant. 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times. A no-knock warrant or a red flag, knockdown door, no knock, which is a red flag, are based on hearsay. Okay, and now to piggyback what you said about state rights, I agree with you 100%, Suni. States have their own rights and this and that. But this is where the federal government and the Constitution takes effect into it. If the state laws are violating the federal law, it's a crime. You just can't give a cop a free pass. Like I said, I'm the biggest critic of it.
Go ahead, Rick.
Can I jump in on that for a second?
Sure.
Sure, Ricky.
The federal government isn't policing the people. That falls to the states. So the federal government is going to come in and manage the states. The states are going to manage their own local law enforcement. What happens with the warrants? Warrants are all signed by judges.
Thank you.
So whether it's a knock or a no-knock warrant, they still have to go through the judge. However, warrants are just tools in the law enforcement's basket, in their toolbox, right? So the reason why they have the no-knock is because sometimes if they suspect the person of being dangerous, or They have the capability to get rid of evidence, because you don't need evidence to get the warrant. The
Sure
warrant
you
is
do.
sufficient.
That's where we disagree, because
No, we don't.
You just can't give a
You
warrant
can't.
on hearsay.
Let me. I'm going to explain that, because a lot of people get that assumption wrong. You don't need evidence to get a warrant. You need an accumulation of suspicion, because the warrant is there to acquire the evidence, right? Because if you've never been in the house, if they're doing a drug raid and you've never been in the house, how do you get the evidence that there's drugs in the house?
Let me ask you
get
this.
access to the house.
Let me ask you
And
this.
that's what that warrant is for, because they're going to use what they call it, the accumulation of circumstantial evidence, drug traffic priors,
It's hearsay.
all the people that's been in there. It is, but when you have enough of it,
Let me ask you a
I'm not
question, Rick.
disagreeing with you, but just to counter what you were saying before, that everyone has rights, right? When you're suspected of doing a crime, some of your rights are suspended even before, i.e., for example, I know you disagree, but for example, when you're arrested, right? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, right? When you're arrested on a crime, before you're convicted, your liberty is curtailed. You're restrained. You can be held for sometimes months on end. So your liberty is your right to liberty, freedom, pursuit of happiness. All that is put to the side before
That's a violation. That's a violation of your Sixth Amendment, though. What you just said is a violation of your Sixth Amendment. But let me ask you this, Rick. Let me just ask you one quick question.
Go ahead.
One quick question, because you use the word. This is the problem I have. I hear the word suspicion or suspicious behavior. When any cop, any judge, any legislator, is suspicion a crime? And if so, is it a misdemeanor or is it a felony, or is it just hearsay? Is suspicion a crime?
No, I never said it was a crime.
Okay,
but
now it's suspicion. So it's being that suspicion is not a crime, does not warrant somebody to have a judge issue a warrant to go knock and kick somebody's door down 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. This is where I'm saying. This is what I'm saying about the Constitution. I'm not one of these First Amendment auditors who want to antagonize cops. I'm saying is we would have less police problems, less police brutalities if they just dust off the Constitution, reread the oath that they swore to uphold.
And this is what I'm saying, though, Tim. I'm not saying that that's the only thing they have. There's a certain weight to it, right? They don't just say, you suspect this guy doing a crime, let's arrest him and do it, right? If you look at the Breonna Taylor case, right? She got a no-knock warrant. They were investigating her and her property for months or years. Some of the stuff goes back years. So it's not just suspicion. They were doing phone calls, GPS tracking. They were watching her vehicles. They did stakeouts. They did all these things over a period of months and years. And then they decided, hey, this guy is a problem and she's involved with him. And we suspect her too. Suspect her too. Now we're doing a no-knock warrant on him, and we're going to do one on her as well, so they don't warn each other.
Okay,
right?
But
what I'm saying is, I think you're applying a very specific scenario.
But here's my thing with your
very broader issue.
When it comes
here's my thing. What you said about Breonna Taylor.
Yep.
They investigated for months, him and her. They investigated for maybe a year, him and her, but they had no proof. It was all circumstantial evidence based on opinion, what they think is happening, with no proof.
No, but
that in itself is a crime. I'm not defending Breonna Taylor. I'm not defending her husband. But
that's what we're going off of. If we're going to play this game, then criminals get off scot-free, and no American should complain because cops can't do their jobs. No, you can't bust down my door because it's unconstitutional. That's going to breed more crime.
It's not. We don't live in Nazi Germany. We don't live in Nazi Germany.
The hood looks like Nazi Germany without police being there.
No, can I say something real quick about the evidence part? That's not true, man.
Go ahead.
I swear to God, man. I've been in the trap house, man, and I know about no-knock warrants. I'm talking from experience, man. It ain't no. Listen, man, they be having evidence. You know how they get evidence? They get a snitch, man, to knock on the door, bro, and buy work off for you, bro, and bring it back. They get evidence before they kill that door in. Because 9 out of 10 times when they kick the door in and coming for them drugs, it's a drug trap house. They're not knocking it. They're not making mistakes. When they kicked my door, man, I was really trapping in that house, Tim. I didn't get the evidence to know I got drugs in there, bro.
But listen, just because a snitch is snitching, okay, without a signed affidavit or sworn affidavit, a snitch is a snitch. It's just hearsay. And everybody's everybody's just falling for hearsay. It's hearsay.
Come on, man.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's hearsay.
So you're okay. Hold on. I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead.
And then I'm gonna rap.
Okay.
What you are really putting out to the people. It's you thinking about your constitutional rights and people like you that are affected by these certain laws. And you guys completely say fuck you to the people that are affected. I'm being real. People in these neighborhoods should have every right to live in a neighborhood where this type of crime is eradicated. And if cops have been watching you for months to a year and they can see that you are clearly trafficking drugs, do they have the drugs in hand? No. But they have watched you make several exchanges, and you're going to say they don't have a right to bust in a door? So let's just let that crime keep going on and on and on because you don't live there.
Whether I live there or not, the bottom line is, listen, we live in America. It's about individual rights. It's about the individual. Okay, we do have laws.
We're so selfish. Individual.
It doesn't matter. Until we come up with a better plan. Until we come up with a better plan than the Constitution, we are individuals. The Constitution is to protect the individual. This is why I
said it's dangerous.
This is exactly why. Individual. This is why I always butt heads with my conservative constituents.
Yeah, I'm an American first. Fuck conservative. Right. I don't care about that.
Okay, so you're an American. So as an American first, as an individual American who's a black woman, a woman who's an
black
individual.
Nothing. I'm American.
Okay,
it doesn't matter.
You're American first. So you're American first. So as American first, your individual rights, whether you live in a ghetto, whether you live in a high society neighborhood, your individualism, your individual rights is protected by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Cops do not have a legal right or authority. It's an arbitrary law to generate revenue for their local municipalities, their local governments, and their local state governments. You do not have a right because it feels good or it makes sense. I get all that. Believe me, I could agree. I would agree with you.
So if that's the case, if we have evidence that someone's being trafficked out of a home, cops can't bust it in because of your views on Constitution. That's crazy as hell. Do you not hear how crazy that sounds? So let's let those women suffer because you're worried about your constitutional rights, bro.
Then why have a Constitution?
That's crazy as heck.
Then why have a Constitution and Bill of Rights?
That's crazy. No, I don't care about skin color, bro. I'm just simply American.
But why have a Constitution? Why have a Constitution and Bill of Rights? Why have it?
Come on, bro.
Why have it?
Come on.
Why have it?
Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I crazy here?
The courts.
Does anybody else understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
I get what you're saying. The courts have already addressed some of these issues. The courts have said that the suspension of some of your rights temporarily during some of these traffic stops and police encounters are acceptable in pursuit of an investigation. They have ruled that, and for all of us to live together in a society, we have to yield our rights sometimes for everyone's safety. Now, that doesn't mean you lose your rights, but during the course of an investigation, they will suspend it, they will conduct their investigation, and then you will get your rights reinstated. Sometimes that's a matter of a few seconds to a few minutes. Sometimes it's during the course of a whole investigation and trial, if it goes that far.
But to piggyback what you said, that you're 100% correct. But this is the problem I have, because all these laws that we're talking about today are post 9/11. Post 9/11. You guys were probably just born at 9/11.
Oh, that's incorrect.
Or a couple. Well, you said you're 30, right? So you were 10. Okay, you guys were young kids at 9/11. So the post 9/11, our Constitution and Bill of Rights is null and void. It really is. But it really is. Post 9/11.
Cops have been doing most of these operations pre 9/11.
Not really.
They've been issuing warrants.
And now going back to what you said about the judges in the courts. Okay, this is the problem I have. This is the problem that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge or accept. Our judges and our courts, they're usurping powers that's not granted to them. What they're doing is they're legislating off the bench and making laws to fit what they perceive the Constitution tells them. And they know they're breaking the law. That's my whole point.
Well,
a judge, that's why there's three different branches of government. A judge in a court cannot legislate off the bench and make laws.
So how would you have
how would you
thank you. What is your solution?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us all the solution. How do we
solution?
Stop criminals, but give them their constitutional rights?
I'm back to trapping, Tim. I'm back to trap. I'm in the house. I'm getting busy. I got a 24-hour trap spot. Things is coming in like water. How do you want the police to stop me? Without
how do I want the police to stop it? It's real simple. This debate was finalized and argued 244 years ago.
We need a solution.
Solution. Get a bench warrant based on real evidence, whether it's a signed affidavit by a snitch. Get real proof. Go to the courts. Have the judge sign it. You just can't go on hearsay.
So what if they never get it?
I brought that up earlier.
If you never get it, then that's the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So the pursuit of happiness is poisoning the community. You're not from the... I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm getting pissed off. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting pissed off.
But I usually get that when it comes to when I talk about the police or the military.
It's not the police. I'm talking about the people.
Well, I want to point out, if it's just a matter of using hearsay to get to warrant, any decent lawyer is going to get the warrant thrown out and everything discovered under that warrant thrown out. But if it's not, because like I was telling you before, you're applying a very specific scenario to a wider issue. Most of the time, it's not hearsay. There's other things involved besides hearsay. There's actually evidence of it going outside or things taking place outside the targeted area of the warrant. And it leads them back to that area, which is why they have the warrant. So it's not just hearsay on that. But if they're using just hearsay to get the warrant to get in, and a good lawyer recognizes that, going to say, well, no, that's all hearsay. They had no issue, no cost to get the warrant.
I agree.
Everything else that they get. So the system works.
The Constitution.
The system works, but it's not perfect. That's why, and everything is open to interpretation.
But that's where I'm getting at with the hearsay thing. I agree with you, Rick. You're 100% right on that. But this is the problem. This is the problem that I have. What's that?
Most of these no-knock warrants, man, when they kick your door,
they're unconstitutional. Bottom line.
You can use the word unconstitutional. Cool. I'm telling you from life experiences, I was in a trap house. They must have done a lucky guess because I've been in a trap house and they always come. So they must have took a lucky guess, man. Every time they came for me, Tim, they knocked that door down, bro. I was in actual kick in, boom, raid, get down on the ground. Never been shot at neither. See, that's what the thing when I come with the police, they ain't shoot at me one time. You know why? Because I complied and this, that, and the third. So the investigation was done because they correctly came to the trap house. They didn't kick the neighbor's door in.
That's what the Nazis did. The Nazis did it.
Listen,
so I guess the Nazis weren't that bad after all, right? The Nazis weren't that bad.
The Nazis were looking for Jews, whereas the cops here are looking for drugs.
Negative. They weren't just looking for Jews. They were looking for
these blacks.
Correct. So it wasn't just Jews. That's a narrative that the media and our fake historians perceive.
I would just
going after Jews. They weren't going after just Jews alone. What we're seeing today is a modernized pre-1941 final solution Nazi Germany with our own Gestapo.
So let's just have lawlessness in our country.
It's not lawlessness. Just follow the laws. You just can't make up laws.
Lawlessness in our countries because cops can't investigate 2 and 3 years and find that something is going on there because they don't have. How do you know? It's hearsay because I fucking watched you. If I watched you go in and out of a trap house every day, you're either buying drugs there.
Physical evidence.
I don't need
physical evidence.
Listen,
dude.
Tim,
you need physical evidence.
Tim, we know when a trap house is. Come on, we from the streets, bro. We know when a trap house is licking, man. We all know. It's like I don't know. Tony said she's from.
A trap house. A trap house is entrapment because if it's a trap house.
What you doing in that crib? Like she said, it could be kids in there, and you found out they investigated kids. No matter what's going on in that crib, they found out something foul. They do their investigation, whatever months they took, years they took.
Okay,
figured it out that something's in that house. You saying because of the Constitution they have no right to go in that? Why do we have police officers?
I'll put it this way.
Why do we?
I'll put it this way. You said a trap house. 9 out of 10 times. Listen, 9 out of 10 of a trap house or a trap car, whatever. 9 out of 10 times, a trap house is backed by the government to begin with. They already have the proof.
All right, bro.
No,
Nah, dog.
No,
Nah, dog.
It's backed by the government. They know what's going on.
No,
So they put their informants in there.
I don't know where the hell you're getting these ideas from. I really don't. 9 times out of 10, that's bullshit, man. And you know that. You know that. If you want to give a number, please give a number that is rational and rooted in reality. Because 9 times out of 10, they're dealing drugs there because that's all they have to do. Those are their opportunities, and that's what they think they can do. Yeah. But to say 9 times out of 10 that is backed by the government, that's bullshit, man.
Individual shit, because I remember.
Come on, bro.
Because I remember in the hood, that's some individual shit. It had nothing to do with government.
Come on, man.
Government. I ain't never been down with no government. I ain't never had that when I be seeing like big drug dealers and they had the government supplying them. I ain't never had that. I had to supply.
Come on, man.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you a simple question. What is a trap? What is a trap house? What is it?
A trap house is
so you don't even know what it is. What you're calling?
No, I'm asking you guys. Your definition.
It's where they sell drugs at. Everybody know what a trap house is.
Sell drugs out.
But a trap house means that they have informants in there. That's why it's set up as a trap house.
How do you know that? Have you been to have you been to 9 out of 10 trap houses to know what's happening there?
Me personally? No, I have not been to a trap house.
So then how are you throwing out that erroneous number?
I'm throwing it out from the research and the documentaries that I've watched and read about how they do trap houses. They have informants, that infiltrate these trap houses, and they give information to the government, whether it's the KKK, whether it's drug dealers, whether of course. That's why it's called a trap house. That's why it's called a trap house. That's why it's called a trap house. Look at any documentary on a trap.
I don't care about a documentary. I'm rooted in reality. I'm rooted in what I've seen. I'm rooted in what I've experienced. I'm rooting in what I know from family. Ain't nobody that I know working with no effing government. And ain't nobody that I know
that's being
got
ignorant,
informants around them.
That's being ignorant then, because if you don't think you know somebody.
I'm not ignorant at all. I think you are. You're saying 9 times out of 10, it's because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yes, because there's somebody infiltrating that organization. There's somebody infiltrating
now it's an organization.
House. There's somebody that's infiltrating. They got caught. Whether it's the Italian mob, whether it's a drug dealer, somebody got caught. The police are telling them, listen, blah 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 blah, and they infiltrate the trap house. They infiltrate the organized crime. They infiltrate the militia. They infiltrate this to get information. That's why it's called a trap house.
It could be the neighbor. Because
correct.
Listen, let me tell you something. Sometimes it's not even just this. Listen, bro. I'm telling you, I swear to God, I will keep saying this. This is life experience. Sometimes it could be the neighbor, right? The trap house, for example, when I was in my trap house, right? I'm in my trap house. Guess what I'm doing? I'm in there, music loud. Fees is coming 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. The neighbors is a working neighbor. It's a working person. They go to work. They got nothing to do with it. You know what they do? They call the police, bro. They got nothing to do with no government. It's a regular.
That's not a trap house.
Yes, it is, man. What are you talking? That's what the name of a trap house is, bro. You can't tell me what the name of a trap house is. The name of a trap house is something you sell drugs out of.
A trap house is there's somebody inside there as an informant for the government or police. There's somebody inside. There's an inside person. So that's why it's called a trap house.
You were mentioning that these trap houses have informants on the inside, so then they would have all the evidence they need for no-knock warrant.
Correct, but they're not producing it because when you have somebody on the inside who's facing a crime or charges, a good lawyer, like you said, a good lawyer, a good defense lawyer, and a good prosecutor. I mean, you can watch TV on it. There's not enough because it's based on hearsay. But they're giving
hearsay if there's a preponderance of evidence. You're saying that the government knows about the trap house and that the neighbors, the people on the street, and they have informants on the inside. So if there's a preponderance of evidence, then obviously it's not just hearsay. They're operating off of what they call circumstantial evidence. But when you have
True.
enough, you can get a warrant. Now the courts doesn't have to put that up all up front. They don't have to put that out because they may be protecting the identity of the informant or the officers involved, or just the scope of their operation. They don't want to put it all out because they're going to use it later in the trial.
Correct.
So they don't have to put it all out. But they're not just making these warrants, these no-knock warrants or warrants in general, off of just suspicion and nothing else. No, there is something more to that.
You're right. But, I'm not in law enforcement, so I'm just going by the little research, little documentaries I watch. But you're right, Rick. You're 100% right.
Yo, hold on for a second. The Narcotic Division got this thing called buy and bust. They get evidence. They got this thing called buy and bust. You know what they do? When your trap house is licking so much, right? You don't know who's coming. You don't care. When you got a 24-hour trap house, you have no clue who these people are that's coming to your door. It's just the word is out. That's where it's at, right? The police will send somebody to your trap house, right? It could be a regular cop, right? Dressed in you know what I'm saying, in his bummy ass clothes. Come in there, buy the work off of you, and go back to the police, test it right there, and then test it right there down the street somewhere, and then kick the door in. That's evidence.
Okay. So I guess that goes back to the culture then, like Suni was saying, because she's in reality, she's in her culture, this, that. I'm not in that culture. I'm not. So basically, I'm saying basically my culture. If I don't know you personally, or if you say, oh, your brother, your sister, your wife sent you here to whatever I'm doing, I have trust issues. So if I'm just going to let any stranger in because they have street cred, I know your homeboy, I know this guy, then shame on you. You deserve to get busted. Me personally, no. If I don't know you personally, if you don't say, oh, your brother told me to come here to hang out with you, then you're not coming to my house. You're not coming to my inner circle. So I guess it is the culture. I don't know. I guess you're right. It's the culture. I don't know what I'm talking about. And that's the way it is. But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if it makes sense or not. It's the culture. People let people in because you look like me. Oh, your friend told me you're a cool dude. I'm from New York. I'm from New York City. I work in New York City. Bottom line is trust nobody but your family. Bottom line.
That process has been done too, and people still get caught. It doesn't matter, man. Investigation, you get
caught because you're sloppy. You get caught because you're sloppy.
People who've been sloppy, they go 10 years, and then you get caught to 11.
Oh, man, this was fun. This is fun.
You're the best. You're the best. I know you're mad at me, Sonny,
clearly a semantics deal where, like, that's not what trap means. No. If you're talking to a black person and you talk to anybody in this era, especially the young folks, and you say a trap house, you're not going to get, oh, they're talking about the government. You know what they're going to say? The place where we get the weed from, the place where we go get that work from. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're staying rooted in what's happening right now. Cops are not just busting in any and everybody's homes. You cannot say 9 times out of 10, and I will not let you say that on the show because it's not rooted in fact. Sure it's not. It's not a rooted opinion. I'm gonna challenge you. Give me 10 instances in the last week where cops kicked in an innocent American citizen. No. You said it's 9 out of 10, so you should have no problem pulling these stats.
Well, yeah.
Well, the fact that the last week I've been working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, I'm not following the news. But if you get based on today, what's today's date? The 28th, 29th? If you want to do a show on the 30th, 2 days later, I will show that'll give me 24 hours to do these red flag laws. I didn't give you a timeline. I just said I had a challenge for you. What I'm saying, you're giving me a challenge that just came about 2 minutes ago. Okay, I'm not on a computer. I'm not researching and bringing up what happened the last 7 days of red flag laws and no knock laws. But if you want, I can give you a week in 2019 or 2020 where there was 10 Houston. There was 10 red flag laws in Houston in 2019 where sheriffs and cops are getting shot and killed, and or people that living in those houses and no knock raids were shot and killed. The president, the PBA officer, the PBA member was talking about it. Oh, we know who you are. We got your social media. We know who he threatened the American people. If you want to talk about 2019, I could bring that up. But you I don't care what era. I don't care what year, whatever. I want to see the total cases
versus the cases that you're talking about.
But you just asked me 2 minutes ago. I can't pull that up in 2 minutes. Like
you can't pull the total cases of 2019. You said it's 9 times out of 10.
9 out of 10 times, yes. Or,
okay.
All right, how about? I mean, let me rephrase it. How about 8 out of 10? 80% of the times. I said 90, 80%. And I'll stick by that.
80% of the time when the police do the no-knock warrants, they make mistakes. 80% of them are mistakes.
I believe it's higher, but I'm gonna just to smooth it out. 80%. No knock. First of all, no knock raids are unconstitutional. I'm going to stand by that. I have Supreme Court cases that say it's unconstitutional. Not lower districts, the Ninth Circuit, not the Ninth Circuit or the Fourth Circuit or the 11th Circuit. Supreme Court cases. Supreme. They're unconstitutional. They just ruled on it 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they just ruled on it.
I don't. First of all, this is not even my forte, and I have never claimed to be well versed in any of these cases, but I have somebody telling me that 9 times out of 10 this happens. I'm not a fucking dummy. I don't have to be paying attention to every single case to know that that's far-fetched. That's like me saying 9 times out of 10 a black person is going to get shot by a cop because it's happened more than once in a year. Absolutely not.
But the Supreme Court ruled just last week no knock raids and red flag laws are unconstitutional.
That's cool.
Justice Clinton. No,
it's just like the same Supreme Court that thinks that this election was all well and good. You really think the Supreme Court means anything to me now? Or any other American?
I agree with you. I said we were a banana republic, but the Supreme Court did not rule that the election was not fraud. The Supreme Court did not listen or take the case up.
Exactly. I never said they ruled.
Right.
I said they are not paying attention to what the bottom line is. They don't even want to listen to an election that was stolen.
100%.
But I'm supposed to listen to the same Supreme Court.
Yes.
Rule this unconstitutional.
Because the Supreme Court ruled red flag laws and no knock raids are unconstitutional. It violates your 5th and 6th Amendment. I am a scholar on this. Okay. I wasn't prepared to talk about that. But like I said, if you want to do a future show on it,
I will.
I will 100% have them back every single thing I'm talking about with the court cases. With the court cases,
I'm challenging
Supreme Court cases from the 1800s to the 1910s to up into the 2015s. I'm telling you, I follow it and I read it every day of my life. That's what I do.
Thank you. If you're gonna say this shit, I want to see facts of it. Period. I don't go to nobody else's show and say something and then have absolutely no facts for it. I don't do that.
Research it yourself then. I'm telling you what it is. Research. I'm not going to hear research for people. Look at the Supreme Court documents.
This is what we do.
Ricky got something to say real quick.
Go ahead, Ricky.
I haven't found. I'm curious as to how often they go wrong, and I haven't found anything yet. And I hate using articles and media pieces as evidence because it's usually skewed to the opinion of the writer. That said, I haven't found anything to support what you said, Tim. I'm still going to continue to look because I think it's an interesting topic.
So do I. I'm going to educate myself on it.
That we should dig deeper in.
You ever found anything what I said about what?
This says cops do around 20,000 no-knock raids a year. And they say that civilians often pay the price when they go wrong, but it's nowhere near the 9 out of 10.
No, but Rick, I corrected myself. I said I corrected myself. I corrected myself. Said 80%.
Well,
no knock raids. No knock raids are
again, this is just an article. This is just an article. It's showing the reverse. It's showing that it's actually like less than 10% go wrong, and less than 10% are unsubstantiated. They say they come out unsuccessful with no evidence in about 35%.
But it's in a person's opinion. No different than my opinion, your opinion, or Sue's opinion. Look up the Supreme Court rulings. It was just last week. Justice Clarence Thomas gave the argument why no knock raids and red flag laws are unconstitutional. Listen, I'm not talking about arbitrary laws.
When did this come about? It's funny how this came about after Breonna Taylor.
It came out about a week ago when they ruled
after Breonna Taylor.
Yes, you're right. It came about a week ago when they're ruling about the gun issues and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a big thing. I mean, listen, like I said, I didn't have all this in front of me because I wasn't thinking about talking about this. Like I said, Suni, listen, we could disagree, but listen, you're still my girl. Listen, we're here 90% of the time. Like I said, I always butt heads with fellow Americans, fellow conservatives, fellow Republicans, or anybody when it comes to the Constitution, when it comes to police and military. I'm a historian. I know history, whether you want to go back to the pharaohs, to the Romans, to the Greeks, to the Nazis. I know American history. I follow it. I've been following taxes. I can give you every tax code from 1924 to 2015. I know this. This is what I do. This is what I do. I'm a construction worker, but all I do, I'm a geek. I am a geek. I'm a silent geek. I'm a construction worker that reads. I got an education in economics from South Carolina University. My minor was history. All I do is read. I used to smoke pot every day for 30 years and read, but I don't smoke pot anymore because I'm married, have kids and everything else. But that's what I did for 30 years of my life. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie to you, but I still read. I follow Supreme Court cases. I'm a constitutionalist, first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? So we could disagree to agree or whatever the term is. So if I don't want to butt heads with you because I learn a lot from you guys. I learn a lot from all you guys. I learn a lot. I'm just saying my butting heads with the majority of the people who think like me or lean towards the same policies I lean towards is every time I butt heads is when I talk about cops, Constitution, and military. That's all. Now, needs to say, I'm going to say this. My father was a military he was an intelligence officer from 1960 to 68. He was a private contractor from 68 to 72. He passed away. I got documents what was written. I know what's going on.
That doesn't mean anything to me, man. I don't
like to you. It doesn't. But I'm just saying.
You're doing a lot of flexing. I don't care about your background. I don't care about your accolades. I care about facts. And you just told me you were a scholar in this subject.
Absolutely.
And then you said I don't have it at my fingertips. If you're a scholar, then you should be able to spit this shit out. Like
I'm spitting out. I just gave you cases of Supreme Court cases. What am I not
in my inbox?
Out?
I'll be waiting.
What am I not spitting out? I just said, look at the Supreme Courts. I'm telling you that the no-knock raids, I'm telling you that no-knock raids and red flag laws are unconstitutional. It violates the 5th, 6th, and 9th Amendment. Look up the 5th, 6th, and 9th Amendment for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Please don't take my word for it. You, as an individual, look up the 5th, 6th, and 9th Amendment, and you come back and tell me how the no-knock raids and the red flag laws are constitutional and legal. If you can do that, that's your assignment. I'll inbox you after the show. But look up the 5th, 6th, and 9th Amendment, and you tell me how the no-knock raids and the red flag laws are constitutional.
You're bringing in
two separate issues at the same time.
Thank you. You're conflating, bro. Stop doing that shit. You're bringing two different things into one. Go ahead, Rick, and then I got to end the show.
No, that was my question. I was saying, because the red flag laws, I would agree with you, are unconstitutional.
Thank you. I'm right there with you.
I disagree that no-knock warrants are unconstitutional. But I don't know if you're merging the two. Are you conflating the two? I guess that's where the confusion is for me. Because I agree with you about red flag. I disagree with you about no-knocks.
Okay. I know she's got to end the show. Yes, I am combining the two because the two are relevant because they're
two separate issues.
Not really.
They're two separate issues individually. When you combine them, they become a third, totally different issue.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but the Supreme Court, the 9 members ruled last week and probably about 6 months ago, no knock raids and red flag laws violate the 6th, the 5th, and the 9th Amendment. Don't take my word for it. Research
individually, like
it
the
violates
and the red flag together violate those.
Both of them individually and both of them together violate the 6th, the 9th, and the 5th Amendments. Look it up, and if we do the show again, I will bring the Supreme Court decisions that were talking about it. like I said, I wasn't expecting to talk about this because I just wasn't ready for it. And I can say what I'm saying, you know, off the top of my head. It's just research it. Don't take my word for it. Research it.
With me, man, I don't know, man. They was real accurate with me. They used to guess real right to come to my shit.
Because there was an informant there.
I'm not on the West Coast. Nobody here is on the West Coast. I have no.
Early 90s, man. Now they got more technology. So I'm pretty sure the accuracy got to be a little bit better now. If they was
warrantless raids are unconstitutional, and I agree with that 100%.
Thank you.
But we're not talking about warrantless raids, and you know we're not. And I'm not about to let you skirt off with that. No knock warrants are not, or no knock raids are not warrantless.
It's based on hearsay.
The cops that were investigating Breonna Taylor had a warrant off of it was actually since 2018 they were investigating this girl and Jamarcus Glover, and he was a drug dealer, and so was Kenneth, the boyfriend that was in the house with her. So you're gonna come on, man? No, absolutely not. If there is a warrant, you have every right to kick in the fucking door. If you don't have a warrant, don't kick in the door and go about it the right way. I'm not living in a lawless society, and I'm not going to promote this. I don't do that.
If you have a warrant, you got to.
I'm not going to go back and forth.
Okay, we won't. But
you can give your proof.
Warrant. If you have a warrant, you got to knock on that door, present your case. I'm the officer. I'm a marshal. I'm a sheriff, and say I'm here because I have this warrant. Because if you don't do that, it's a violation of 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th Amendment. Study up, brush up on yourself with this 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th Amendment, and that is 100% accurate. Not 90%, not 80%, 100% accurate. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th Amendment.
Everybody, have a good night. This was fun. We got to talk about Charlamagne. We got to talk about culture. Clearly, my guy Tim is not up with culture since he didn't even know what the trap house meant. You didn't even know what the trap house meant, dude, and you're a scholar. I'm sorry. I'm as real as it comes. I call everybody out. I call my friends out live on air. And I thank you, Rick, for being here. Thank you, Ralph. This was fun. I'm going to let you guys give your closing statements. Keep it to 2 minutes because I need to wrap and go have a life.
Real quick. With Tim, what you were saying, if police, like what you just said, right? Me, as say if I was a trapper still, right, in a house trapping, I would love it if they would just knock on the door first and tell me, hey, we have a warrant for this house. We about to come in. Before, when they used to do the no-knock warrants, for me, I used to make it to the bathroom and flush, and they wouldn't catch nothing. They just did that raid for nothing. So imagine if they knock on the door, I look through the peephole, and I see this police at the door. Hey, guys, police is here. They say they got a warrant. You know what to do. All right, hold on, officer. I'm going to let you in. Hold on. Come on, bro. That's what you want to happen. That's what you're telling me, man? We would love it as them drug dealers. They would love that type of way. Knocking on the door to let me know we got a warrant. Come on, bro. That's my final take when it comes to that. I'm Ralph the Mouth, and I'm out of here.
Thank you, Ralph. I'm gonna hit you up, man. Thank you for being here. This is fun. Go ahead, Rick. What's up?
Man, I just like to say, first off, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I say a lot of things that's unpopular, especially in our community. But I think it needs to be said. And I think we need to have these serious, long, hard looks and discussions about these topics to our youth. Because I think overall we are failing them. But we all start in our own house and build out from there. That said, thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. Look forward to these again. And
listen, we can schedule it now. We can all come back and debate this. I'm big. I sit here do my research. I don't get on here and say shit that ain't true. So you're challenging me to something. I'm going to exceed your expectations. I'm ready.
I will definitely say that Tim, me and Tim have a different viewpoint on some of this stuff. Some of these things I agree with him on. Some of them I don't. I don't know enough to challenge him on any of this stuff. I took some notes. I'll have to go home or go back and look some of the stuff up. before I can make an educated response to some of this stuff. But it's interesting nonetheless, and I look forward to discussing stuff with you guys again. Thanks for having me.
Facts. Thank you for being here. Go ahead, close out.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. First of all, Suni, I want to thank you again for having me on your show. It's been an honor and a privilege, and very well learning experience for myself. And no, I'm not part of the culture. I admit it. I admit my flaws. So we can disagree on and agree on certain things, but majority of the times we agree on a lot of issues. Okay. So, but thank you again for having me on. I really do appreciate it. I really do. And keep up the good work. You're a patriot. You're a true American. God bless you. God bless your family. And thank you again. So I'm going to end it with first of all with Zim. I'm going to say this, Zim. If you don't stand for liberty, you will fall for anything. That's number one. Okay, that's number one. And number two, Ricky, as always, it's been a privilege to discuss things with you, whether we're on Facebook or whether we're on the phone together, sharing this platform with Suni, the middle child, who's been a great host. Please research what I was talking about. Suni, you're in touch with me now through Messenger. If we want to continue this conversation about court rulings and stuff, we can do it. I'll be more prepared. I wasn't prepared for it tonight, so forgive me for my not being prepared 100%. And guys, I'm Tim Davis, One Man, One Opinion, Professor Rex on Patriot Nation TV. If you don't check out my show, I'm going to promote myself, Suni. I'm sorry. Check it out. I have a lot of good videos. And like I always say, God bless everybody. God bless you, Suni. God bless your family. God bless America. And hopefully I talk to you guys soon. Peace out. God bless.
Yeah, I'm going over to hang out with Kaylee now. Since people need to look, you need a little refresher of what these words mean. Yes, the definitions of a whole lot of words have been skewed, changed, but there are slang terms for a lot of these things. And, okay, I'm about to slap you in the face with facts, Jeff. Trap house is a term used to define what a crack house or the surrounding in which a drug dealer or a trap star would use to make their profits. This is when you have to be in touch with culture. The only way that we as conservatives have a fighting chance to even influence the youth or anybody else, you need to be in touch with culture, period. Culture is like intertwined into American politics, period. And it sucks, but this is just the world that we live in. So thank you, everybody, for hanging with us. Everybody, please make sure you say prayers for Cash, #FreeCashKelly. Keep him in your prayers. Keep supporting the page. Keep supporting the Primetime Patriots. Be the change. Myself, everybody. And we appreciate you all and we love you. God bless America. Happy Memorial Day. Shout out to all the veterans and all the soldiers that died in the wars to give us the freedoms that we have today. I am always appreciative. Thank you.